Yes, can I have Laura in the county clerk's office, please? This is Laura. Hey, Dan Levy calling. Do you have the docket for tomorrow? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it'd be fine. But how many people do you show on the preliminary? Okay, good. That's about right. I don't think much has changed.
It was in the emails, the Zoom meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Smith, if you're unmuted, we can't hear you.
What?
Oh, never mind. Now I can hear you. Never mind.
Okay, says I'm unmuted.
Yeah, now I can hear Mr. Smith now.
I just saw him moving his mouth a minute ago and I couldn't hear anything.
Well, I wasn't saying anything important. I couldn't find the meeting again. I went into AT&T Neverland.
All right, well, if we're ready, we'll go back on the record on the Akhtar Islam divorce. And Ms. Springer, you may proceed.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I think that we were reviewing the credit card payments. So let me just bring that back up. We're looking at his financial information. That's right. Okay.
Correct.
So the share screen. I guess maybe I should open it first and then do the share screen. Okay, here. Is that coming up? That's where we were when we broke. All right.
I'm not seeing anything yet.
Oh, okay. I thought I had that on share screen. So let me just share screen, share. You see that?
I see your list of all the exhibits.
It says I'm screen sharing, and it's the financial information statement of Mr. Islam.
Yeah, I see all these files that are listed in your this PC, and I see that there's a gray bar on Petitioner's Exhibit 4. I just don't see Petitioner's Exhibit 4.
Let me close these other windows and see if it'll come up. Okay, so the only thing I have open right now is financial information statement. Do you see that?
I'm not. I guess, Mr. Smith, what are you seeing?
I'm just seeing the list that has plaintiff's exhibit number 4.
Yeah, that's all I'm seeing too. See what happens if you double click on that.
Okay, it says you're screen sharing, and it's on my screen. You don't see it?
I do not.
Okay. Let me just get out of that and do it again. Okay?
All right, now I do. Now I see.
All right. So before we broke for lunch, Ms. Akhtar, we were talking about your husband's income. Is this his handwriting on the financial information sheet?
Yes.
Okay. So he filled these things in himself, and he says his gross monthly income is $2,040.
As he claimed.
Okay. Do you agree with that number?
No.
Okay. And do you agree that his net available income per month is $1,777.64?
No.
And this is the same job that he's had for years, correct?
Yes.
And he was the sole support of the family up until when you started working as a nurse?
Yes.
Okay. And then it shows that he's making a rental payment. Is he actually paying rent?
Right now, he is leaving his boss house as far as my knowledge, and he's living for free there.
Okay, and so is he paying utilities or anything at that house?
No,
So do you believe that his monthly expenses are $1,746?
no,
Okay, and out of whatever his money is, you haven't received any of it, that's true, correct?
yes.
Now, do you have an estimate of what his actual income is based on the hours that he's working?
I can tell, like, before is our expense was around $4,000 to $5,000 a month, around, not exact. And he afforded, so
So he was paying the monthly expenses of the family in excess of $4,000 a month before you started working.
yes,
And he's been on the same employment since then.
yes,
And now he's saying he has less than $2,000 a month available to him.
yes,
And you dispute that claim.
yes.
Now, in the course of living with him and dealing with finances and that type of thing,
You're on,
what bills was he paying
you're
out
on.
of his income?
Wait a minute, Ms. Springer.
We were trying to object to that line in that it's sheer speculation. She's laid no predicate that she has personal knowledge of that.
I'll allow her to testify just from her experience as the spouse in the household.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, so he was paying all of the household expenses and all of the living expenses prior to your starting to work.
Yes.
And then once you started to work, how did you and he allocate your monthly expenses?
So is our mutual agreement that I'm gonna save all my money and he gonna pay all the living costs except whatever I spend in my credit card. That's how it started. But when we're gonna buy like house or furniture or something big, then I'm gonna contribute.
Okay, now you were living in an apartment before, is that correct?
Yes,
And your house purchase was fairly recent.
yes.
When did you purchase the house?
15 October 2019.
Okay, and do you recall what the purchase price was of the house?
It was $286,000. So I think, yeah,
Okay, and what was the down payment that you made on the house? Do you recall?
$58,000 some dollar
Okay, and where did that money come
from my check.
Okay, and you and your husband basically have no debt other than the mortgage, is that true?
Yes,
So you haven't been running up credit cards or anything like that while you were supposedly living on this $1,700 a month?
we do use credit card, but we pay off.
Right, so prior to your getting a job, you had the same living standards basically that you have now.
Yes,
And Mr. Islam's income was satisfying the needs of the family at
yes,
that time. And you, at this time presently, you and your husband don't have large credit card bills or loans or anything like that other than your mortgage, is that right?
yes.
Okay, so the mortgage payment, where was it coming from after you purchased the house?
My check.
So does your check get direct deposited into your account?
Yes,
And you and your husband have separate banking accounts, is that right?
yes,
And separate checking accounts?
yes.
Okay, was he ever paying the house note?
No,
And what about the utilities at the house?
he paid utility bill.
Okay, out of his income.
Yes,
And the Obamacare insurance policy that you and your husband have been covered by, where does the money come to pay for that?
his account.
Okay, and did he clean out his account at one point?
Yes,
And when was that?
after we separated.
And what happened to the automatic drafts on that account when he cleaned it out?
It bounced like a negative because it doesn't have sufficient amount.
Okay, were you concerned particularly about any payments that were not paid out of his account?
Can you explain a little bit more?
The health insurance.
Yes, I do concern.
Okay, so that was the Obamacare premium?
Yes,
And how much is that per month?
$835.
Okay, to your knowledge, has that premium been paid for the month of December
Yes.
and for the month of January?
It's showing the bank that they draft because it is auto payment happen. Like that's how we have been paying. It's showing like they try to get in January 4th or 3rd. I'm not, don't quote for that. I'm not sure it's go through or not.
Okay, so that, to your knowledge, that insurance premium was not paid for in January,
Definitely not.
and it was not paid in.
Wait a minute, Ms. Springer.
On my screen, it says that someone named Nora has joined us. Do you know a Nora?
I have an employee named Nora.
What?
I have an employee named Nora.
Well, it said Nora joined. I didn't know if that was appropriate or not.
Well, she must not be joining us because she left.
Mr. Smith scared her away.
You scared her away, Mr. Smith. Okay, so as far as you know, that premium has not been paid for January or February.
Definitely not for February.
Okay, and do you request the court to require your husband to bring that current?
Yes.
Okay, and that would be for January, February, and then the premium that's due in March?
Yes.
Now, what about your health insurance through your employment? Is that available to you now?
It's gonna be available next month.
Okay, so it's at the end of March, correct?
Yes.
And you're willing to enroll your family on that account when that becomes available to you?
Yes.
And that would cover your husband and your child and yourself?
Yes.
And have you attempted to find out what the cost will be and which part of the cost is allocated to you versus your husband and child?
I did call to my HR, but this winter storm hit them, so they are closed.
Okay, so you were unable to find out from the HR department what that allocation is?
Yes.
Okay, but once you get the insurance in place, that will be a deduction from your check, is that right?
Yes.
And your request of the court is that Mr. Islam be required to reimburse you the cost of his coverage and the coverage for your son, is that right?
Yes.
And you can get documentation once your HR company is up and running and you have those amounts to provide to Mr. Smith to give to his client.
Yes.
All right, now once that insurance is in effect, the Medicare coverage for your son will be terminated, is that right?
Yes.
And there's no cost right now for that Medicare coverage.
Yes.
And with respect to his non-covered expenses, is your request that the court require that Mr. Islam pay 1/2 of those?
Yes.
So you're asking the family, the standard family code language, or the family practice manual language be put into the order with respect to the payment of those non-covered or in excess payments for health coverage.
Yes.
And are you willing to pay your own health care expenses?
Yes.
And what about Mr. Islam? What's your feeling about whether he should pay or you should pay on his expenses?
His expense he should pay.
Okay. All right, now once the court determines the amount of child support that should be paid by Mr. Islam to you, you do request the back child support as well as the front support.
Yes.
Okay, so you would want support for January and February, and then the regular payments of child support would begin March 1st.
Yes.
And then the reimbursement on the insurance would be when it becomes in effect, which would be the 1st of April.
Yes.
All right, now there was some stimulus checks that were received by your family, is that right?
Yes.
And so far, how many rounds of stimulus payments have been received?
The government released 2 rounds of stimulus check.
Okay, now the first
I
stimulus.
didn't understand that answer. I didn't understand the answer.
Oh, would you repeat that?
The government released two times the stimulus check that we received.
So the government released 2 times stimulus checks. All right, and the first stimulus round was received while you and your husband were still residing together, is that correct?
Yes.
And then the second one came in January of this year.
Yes.
And to which bank account did that payment go?
Wells Fargo on his account.
Okay, when he received that money, did he let you know that he had it?
No.
Did he offer you your share of that money?
No.
Did he offer you your son's share of that money?
No.
So do you request the court to order him to pay you your share of that stimulus check?
Yes,
And that would be 2/3 of $1,800, is that right?
yes,
And with respect to the stimulus check upcoming, will that likewise be put into his account?
I want it separated.
Okay, but as far as the IRS is concerned, the account that they have tied to your tax account that they use to pay these monies, that's his account, is it not?
Yes,
And you request that when and if that amount or any further amounts are received, part of which is allocated for you and your son, that he remit those amounts to you.
yes,
All right, now you have, you've been living in the house at 104 White Wing Lane, is that right?
yes,
And on a temporary basis, you want exclusive use and possession of that house?
yes,
And then you want him to have whatever exclusive use and possession of wherever he's living.
yes.
And that's an apartment that's owned by his boss,
That's a house that's owned by his boss.
okay? And you want the terms of the bond to remain in place where he does not come on your property or come near you, is that right?
Yes,
And your parents.
yes.
Now tell us about the history of the 2015 Toyota Camry and why you want that restored to your possession.
Because that's car I was driving, because that's our mutual agreement that he worked very close to house. So he used the old car and I'm gonna use the new car. So I was driving that car, but I had an accident with a deer. So my car was broke. So we put it in the shop. So I started driving the Nissan, what he used to drive, and he took the rental car. He give back the rental car when my car was ready, and he never give it back my car.
Okay, how far do you have to drive to work?
Eagle Lake.
And how far is that from your home?
From my home, it was 17 miles.
Okay.
17 to 18 miles.
And how far does he live from his home?
Right now, he used to live where he used to live. It was like 2.5 miles, but now he live. I'm not sure actually how far that area. I mean, I know he's Belleville, but I don't have the exact mile amount.
Okay, but is it fair to say that he has fewer miles to drive than you do?
Yes.
And how long had you been driving the 2015 Camry prior to your wreck? The deer wreck.
At least 4 years.
Okay, and that's the car that you've customarily been driving and you want that restored to you.
Yes.
And the Nissan that you're driving now, was that the vehicle that your husband customarily drove?
Yes.
And you want him to have that?
Yes.
All right, you're willing to pay all of your own household bills and your credit card and that type of thing?
Yes.
And you want the court to require him to pay all of his own bills?
Yes.
And you want the court to enter standard mutual injunctions, which would be injunctions that would avoid your cashing out insurances and things of that nature?
Yes.
I believe that's all I have, Your Honor. Tender the witness.
Mr. Smith?
Okay, I'm back. Okay, now, why,
Oh, now you're muted.
okay, who is driving the 2018 Toyota Corolla?
It's a 2015 Toyota.
No, I'm asking her, who is driving the 2018 Toyota Corolla that is on your insurance?
My dad is driving that car, and I sometimes that car is on my name and my husband's name, but my dad driving that car. Because that car, my dad give it to me. But my credit score is not good enough, so we have to go and join to get it out refinance.
Who bought that car?
My dad.
Your dad paid for the cash?
Can you repeat one more time?
Did your dad pay for the 2018 Corolla, or did that get out of community property?
No, my dad is paying for it. He is still paying for the car note.
What was the money, let me start over. What was the source of the cash to buy the 2018 Corolla?
He worked, he has a job. My dad has a job.
Why is it in your name if it's your dad's car?
He want to give me this car because he just want to put me on his car.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
I said he want me buy that car, and then he wanted to buy another car, but we have already car, so he just bought me that car, but I cannot go by myself. So my husband also added up on that name.
Okay, so the car is titled in your name and your husband's name,
Yes,
but it really belongs to your father?
it belong me and my father.
So why don't you drive that car?
Because most of the time, that was his plan. It didn't work out that way, that he gonna buy another car. So I told him that we have car, you don't need to, even though it's my name, you can keep your car.
So when did y'all purchase that car?
In 2018,
2019,
18,
18? What month?
I believe around July, but do not quote for that. I can remember.
When did you start working at Eagle Lake?
2019 in August.
August of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And how much did you make when you first started?
My salary is really vary. I really couldn't say because my hour is always up and down.
What is your hourly rate?
My hourly rate is $32.
$32 an hour.
Yes.
And do you get overtime?
Yes.
On the paycheck for August the 25th of this year, did you have 77 hours worth of work that pay period from December the 6th through the 16th?
Can you pull up? Before I say yes or no,
Pardon me?
I said,
She wants to look at it.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I provided you, correct?
What? It's something you supplied to me.
If then yes.
Where did the money go for that paycheck?
You want to look at that?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Smith, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put up her pay stub so she can see what we're talking about.
Okay.
And also, statement, I already.
Okay, there's her earnings statement. That's not the one you're referring to though, right?
Her paychecks.
Well, that's what we're going through right now. You're referring to a specific one. That's one from January.
I can't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought it was file sharing. Can you see that?
Yes. Now, that's the one ended, and that's the period from December 23rd through January 5th.
Right,
And that was $5,824.
right.
Can you please show me the next one? That's for the pay period beginning on January the 6th and ending on the 19th. Is that correct?
Yes,
How many hours did you work that pay period? Find me the bank statement for January, her bank statement for January.
okay. I work a 38-hour regular time and overtime is 17 hours.
What are your hours?
They're on the left side of the exhibit or the document. I don't think this is in evidence.
I'm not sure what shift 1 and shift 2 and regular is.
Okay, so regular hour rate is regular, like 32 hours overtime. When shift 1 is 2 to 10 shift, if I go to 2 to 10, that turn is shift 1. And shift 2 is 10 to 6, that I don't work that shift, but sometimes just I have to stay over a little bit, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes. That's shift 1, shift 2.
Now, the Wells Fargo checking account that you provided us ended with a balance on January 30th. Can you look at that particular bank account? It's your bank account.
Which one do you need, Charlie?
What?
Which one do you need?
It's the one that's dated February 28th.
I got January 29th. That's not what you want.
Okay. If you'll scroll down on that. That bank account, wait, just go on up, please, to where the transactions. Right there. That on December the 30th of 2020, you had a deposit of $13,610.
Yes,
Where did that money come from?
from my job.
Okay? Have
And
you-
I told you that before. That was the old company. They just turn over renewal the new company. The old company give us a paper check. I do not go to every 2 weeks. So it probably 2-3 paycheck. Then I went and deposit. So is that happened, that big payment, I mean deposit.
Well, were you paid for 2 different companies in the month of December of 20?
Yes, because the company's turnover, they paid us, the turnover happened in 2020, December 1st, but we get paid from November 15 through November 30, but we get paid on December 8th.
Okay, so you got paid $13,000 on December 30th. And you
No,
paid another 28.
no, that's not correct.
What?
This is not my one check. I said before that they pay paper check. I do not go every 15 days. So this $13,000 is probably 2 or 3 checks. I couldn't really recall.
Did you just save them up and then deposit them?
Can you repeat one more time?
What?
You held on to the checks and then you deposited.
Yes.
Why did you save your paychecks up? Why
I don't
did you,
understand your question.
why
So
did,
if I could clarify, she got a paper check when the company turned over and she didn't go to the bank right away. So that deposit is about three paychecks together.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
When the company turned over into a new company, they issued a paper check for the last part of November 2020. And then she didn't go to the bank with it right away. So that deposit represents about 3 pay periods of checks,
Well,
not just one.
Did you get another paycheck on January the 8th? For $28.76?
And that's the Home Depot refund.
No, that's a refund.
What?
That's a refund. We purchased a door from Home Depot, but we cancel it, so they just refund back to us.
Okay. Who made the original payment on the Home Depot account?
Me, because I use my debit card and they deposit back my debit card.
I thought you said he was making all the payments.
I told when we were together in an apartment that time, the living cost he pays solely. But when we buy the house, that time I make the big payment, and me and him both share some furniture together. Who's gonna buy what?
So did your husband get any of that refund money?
No,
Did your husband get any of the $4,500 on the 13th?
no, that's my check money. That's my empty.
I understand. Did you use any of that $4,500 to pay for household expenses?
Yes,
Okay. What was the $3,000 to the jeweler, Bawa Jewelers,
I bought some jewelry.
for yourself?
Yes,
And you bought another $425 worth of jewelry at the same time?
I have to give a gift to my friend. There's like a baby shower, so I bought a gift for my friend.
Okay. And you paid for the Wells Fargo Visa card that month?
Yes,
And then you got another $4,940 on the 27th.
yes,
So you got $20,000 in income that month and $2,000 in a refund. And you kept.
no, I object that.
What?
That's not true, because the $13,000 is not in December money. It probably in November, even like maybe end of the August and November together, then I deposit in December.
But it's money you actually received from December the 30th to the end of January. You received $25,930.17 in your bank account. And you gave none of, your husband got none of that.
It is my bank account, but that $13,000 is not that I make on that month. It was in November or probably in end of the August and November month and I just deposit on those.
Wouldn't you agree that $25,000 is more than sufficient to support the needs of a 5-year-old?
But isn't it, he's also responsibility to take care of my child, that's his child too.
Well, isn't it both of your responsibilities?
Yes,
But you're asking for back child support even though you had $25,000 that month.
but next, I have, the way right now I make more money, I have more where to expend to, I have way more expense, I do.
Okay, if you would look at the bank account for, that has a November the 9th on it, please.
November 30th?
Yes,
Okay, is that the one you want?
I can't move it up. It has the transaction for November the 9th on it, so that would be the right one.
Yes.
You got a deposit on November the 9th for $6,878.57. Where did that come from?
From my job,
I thought you just said that you had saved up and that's why you had such a large deposit in the next month.
I do not go to every month. So I do believe that that money is I definitely know that money come from my job, but I couldn't recall what exact the month.
Okay, is it possible that that money came from your husband?
No,
What about the next one at $5,106 on November the 17th?
it is also come from my job
How often do you get paid?
every 2 weeks.
Well, from the 9th through the 17th, is that 2 weeks?
No,
So
I probably do.
is it your testimony you really don't know where that money came from?
No, I know it's come from only my job. If the judge want, I can show that if I go to my bank and ask for the transaction, they can provide me the check. I'm able to provide the check.
You bought, there was $2,800 to Home Depot on the 24th, $1,900 paid on the Wells Fargo Visa, and $7,000 to Gallery Furniture on the 27th.
Yes.
What did you buy with the $7,000?
I buy a sofa.
$7,000 for one sofa?
It's a sectional
Where is that sofa now?
in my house.
Okay, your husband got no benefit from that at all, did he?
He was living on that house that time.
Okay, but the same thing for the Home Depot purchases? He didn't get anything out of that.
He living in the house.
Excuse me just a minute. You can't talk to me right now. Write it down. For some reason, Judge, I got mooted. I didn't touch anything. Oh, Judge. Didn't you handle all of the money for the couple, for the family, up until the December the 20th?
Can you repeat one more time?
Pardon me?
Can you repeat one more time? I couldn't understand you.
Did you handle all the financial transactions for the family before December the 20th of 2020?
No, not all of it. As a spouse, he gave me some to do, I do that. But end of the day, he's the head of the house. What he tell me, I just listen.
Okay, well, where was are you saying that he's been making this large salary for a number of years? When you're saying he's made $4,000 to $5,000 more than's reported on his income, is that right?
No, I said he make around $4,000 to $5,000 a month. So that include $2,000 too in it.
Well,
in total.
On what did you report on your federal income tax for 2019? What was your income?
In total, it's showing that it's 61,000 in the family.
Okay,
I could not recall what I made.
okay. You signed that tax return, didn't you?
Yes,
You didn't deliberately defraud the federal government, did you?
I don't know. I mean, I know that what I make and that's the truth. And I
Okay.
just give it to my husband, the W-2 form, and he take me to tax file.
Okay, you filed this return jointly, right?
Yes,
And you told the government together, both of you made $61,629. Is that right?
evidently it is on the paper.
Okay, and you said that you started working in July of 19 at
Yes.
$32 an hour.
Yes,
Half a year's salary at that is $33,280. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure. It could be more, it could be less, because my hour is never been exact.
Well, that's just working a straight 40 hours. Since you have started working as a nurse, have you ever only worked 40 hours in a week?
I work 40 hours a week, less than that, more than that.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
I say I work sometimes less than 40 hours, sometimes 40, sometimes more than that. I cannot say quote unquote that many hours.
Well, if if you made approximately $30,000, then he would have made approximately 31,000. Is that right?
I'm not gonna say yes or no because I really don't know.
Well, you do know you were making $32 an hour
Yes, I do know that.
and you were working full time. And were you working full time?
I am hired as a full time. Sometimes they need me more, sometimes they need me less.
So my question is, why, if you had a combined income of $61,000 in 2019, and he was working at the same job, and you're working at the same time, same job, for the same amount of money, why isn't it reasonable that his W-2 would be accurate for this year?
I really don't understand what you mean by that.
You didn't mean to lie to the federal government, did you?
I didn't mean to lie. I went with my W-2 form. What I make, I give it to my husband as the head of the household. He took me and he filed it and he asked me to sign and I signed it.
But that's the only thing that you ever swore to that was true and accurate, was that your income for the couple was $61,000.
That is in the paper. Yes, that is in the paper.
So are you saying that that was wrong and it really should be closer to 90,000? How do you explain the difference between your earnings that are now $130,000 a year? If for your W-2 in 2020, it's $133,916.
Okay, so I'm working on that time in 2019. I'm just a brand new nurse. I joined one nursing home first. Then I quit that nursing home. I went another company. And also all my cash has been deported. I do have a proof of that. And this year, all the COVID happened. They need me more. And that's the reason I have to work more. As a nurse, in 2020, in March, COVID hit us as a pandemic, and we have to use more nurses. Even though our facility did not affect by COVID, but still we have to use a lot of precaution. I was one of the member of testing, so I am in a team in testing. So I have to have extra hour to work there to take care of my patient. So that is skyrocket my hours.
Well, would you agree that his hours have stayed essentially the same for the last 2 to 3 years?
Yes.
And do you agree that his nominal rate is $12 an hour?
His hour wasn't 12 hours. I believe this recently happened.
I'm sorry, I did not understand what you said.
His hour rate is $12. It was $11 previously, but he make more than he showed us. Because he ran previous, before I became a nurse, he ran the whole family. Because I won this school, I don't have any job. He take care me, my parents also lived with me that time. Me, my son, my parent, everybody. So as a family of 5, we didn't live a luxury life, but it still is a standard life. So it's take way more than $2,000.
But you don't know except for what you filed on your income tax, what he actually makes?
Is officially what he put it that IRS no or federal government no, but I can tell he the way he put me in a house, the food he fed me, the clothes he gave me, the spend I see he saw for our whole family is more than that.
So he supported your mother, your father, and you. Is that correct?
I said my parents live with me because to take care of my child.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that
To
either.
take care of my child, and my parent also separated in a house in 2019.
Now, your mother and father live in the same house with you right now.
Yes,
Do they pay utilities?
no,
Do they pay rent?
no.
Do they pay food?
They sometimes they should do shopping, but it's not like any arrangements that they have to bring that much in the table.
But they don't make any regular contribution to the household finances.
No.
You say
Could
in
I
your,
explain a little bit?
I'm sorry, what?
Could I explain a little bit more?
If you need to explain it, your attorney can ask you about it. Do you put down on your financial statement that you spend $2,000 a month on food?
Yes,
What, and is that for yourself and your 5-year-old child?
it's for whole household.
Does your husband have any obligation in your mind to support your parents?
No,
Okay. Let's talk about a little bit about the incident. When did you first hire your attorney?
I could not recall the exact date.
What?
I cannot recall exact date.
Okay. Have you, has your son ever been harmed in any way while he was in the care of your husband?
No,
On the night of the 20th, were you harmed?
yes.
How were you harmed?
So I have to give a little bit backstory.
Your Honor, I object to going into all this detail. This is the subject of a criminal prosecution, not the subject of this family law hearing.
Your Honor?
Yeah, go ahead and if you can just answer the question, what happened on that night?
So I come back from my job. I was late. I usually come like 10:30 at home that day, but my nurse is coming late, so I was late. I was around 11:20, 11:30. I see that he bought a pizza and flour for me. Previous 1 week ago, we have a big argument, and he put a huge allegation. I have to swear my Holy Quran on that. So he know that I want separation, and we're not living in the same bedroom anymore for a week. I living on upstairs. He was living in our downstairs bedroom. So I went with the flower on that room, and I asked him why you start to do same thing again and again, because that he has a perfect clinical abusive behavior, that he started talking very abusive way verbally, then he started physical abuse. After everything is over, he come to and say sorry and ask for forgiveness, and I forgive him, and he started love me again. same thing happened last 12 years again and again and again. So this is a mood because he already did insult me in front of everybody. So this is the same mood he's doing it this time, that he bring flower and my favorite pizza. So he was in a bed, he was sleeping that time. I went bedroom, I turned on the light, I wake him up, and I just asking him why you are doing this same thing. And when I said it, that you know what, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna divorce you sooner or later. I'm just tired of this same thing. I just want to be done. He cannot handle this word from me. As a man, he just get angry. He's very angry person, an abusive person. He took the flower from me and he started hitting. So that time I call a cop and police come. They saw the red mark on my left hand. They took a picture. They went to my bedroom. They saw all the flower vane was on the floor. It's broken down into pieces, and they arrested. And they put a restraining order.
Excuse me, Your Honor, if I could break in here. Your husband was sound asleep and you went in and bothered him, right?
He bought me the pizza and flower to convince me.
Isn't
So
it
I just want to talk to him. That why
Yeah, Ms. Lozano's not getting any of this down, so guess let Mr. Smith ask his question and then you can answer it.
Isn't it fact that you instigated the confrontation on December the 20th?
No, I don't think this is instigated. This is the one more clarification as a spouse.
Why, if he was already asleep, why did you go even into the room?
Just because I have a right as a spouse.
Okay, is it possible that you hit yourself with those flowers?
No,
Did you slap yourself in the face?
no,
Did you have any marks at all on you when the police got there?
yes.
Where?
And they have their picture. I have on my left side, my cheek and my arm.
Okay. And you're saying that your husband solely is responsible for that?
Yes.
Your Honor, I object to any further testimony along this line. We're not even asking for sole managing conservatorship. This is not a trial on a protective order. It's about finances and possession and access.
Your Honor?
It's way beyond the range of this hearing.
Your
What
Honor?
what is the relevance, Mr. Smith?
Well, she has raised up that she is afraid of him, that she, and that's the reason that we can't have a normal exchange, that she is afraid that if he's going to, because of some cultural defect, he's going to attack her. And I think we're exploring the fact that she, in fact, instigated this affair, and that for that reason, we should be able to have a normal exchange for the kid.
Can I ask?
Well, and I mean, did you want also a normal standard possession order?
We can't do that now because of his work schedule, but as soon as our work schedule is straightened out, yes, we would like to have that.
Okay. All right. Well, for the purpose of the temporary orders, the objection is sustained.
Okay.
Can I take a break, Your Honor?
Okay. I would take about a 10-minute break or so, come back about 2:45.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're going to together in the Moscow.
All right, let's go back on the record on Akhtar and Islam, and Mr. Smith, you may proceed.
Okay. This Islam, on December the 8th, there was a cash withdrawal for $10,000 from your bank account. Can you explain to me what that's for?
Can you pull up that?
Your Honor, if Mr. Smith would please show Ms. Akhtar what he's talking about.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
She can't just reference that from memory, Mr. Smith, if you'll show her what you're talking about.
Okay. It's in the December 28th, 2020 Wells Fargo bank statement under transaction history.
Can you share screen on that, Mr. Smith?
It's what you provided to me.
Pardon me? Is that what you're talking about?
What?
Is that what you're talking about?
I can't see anything.
Up here, hit,
Okay, yes. If you'll go down to the transaction history, right in the middle of the page there. On December the 8th, there was a withdrawal made for $10,000. Do you know what that withdrawal was for?
Yes, I do know. So my husband do not give me and allow me to purchase or personal purchases. So I do take a loan from one of my friends and from my dad in cash, and I use for myself. So I withdraw and I give them to that.
That was a loan to someone else?
Yes.
Who was that person?
It's my dad. I give him $4,000 and one of my friends.
Give me the name of your friend.
Is Dwayne Hurd.
Say it again, please.
Dwayne Hurd.
Dwayne Hare?
Hurd. H-U-R-D.
H-E-R-B.
H-U-R-D.
H-U-R-D.
And his first name was Dwayne?
No, not Dwight. It's Dwayne.
Spell it for me, please. Would you spell that name for me, please?
It could be misspelled too. Dwayne.
Just do your best on spelling it.
D-W-E-N-Y-E.
When did you borrow that money from Dwayne or Miss? Excuse. Is it Mr. or Miss or
Mr.
Mr.? Mr. Hurd, when did you borrow that money from Mr. Hurd?
I couldn't exactly recall. It could be in October.
And you did not give any of the money to your husband?
No. I borrow it and I use for myself and I give him back. And also not only him, this I pay back the loan for my dad and him. This 10,000 I give it back my dad and him.
And Mr. Smith, you're muted.
I don't know how it moots itself, Judge. I didn't touch it. Do you have any documentation for that loan?
No.
And the purpose of the loan was what?
Personal uses.
Personal?
Yes.
Do you have any documentation of how you spent the $10,000?
I didn't use it like in a same time. So and I pay those in a cash payment. So I do not have the documentation and I do not keep any receipts. So I do not have documentation.
Do you recall what you spent it on?
I have some dresses, jewelry. I bought a one chain. I really do not recall. Mhm.
You don't recall what you spent the $10,000 for?
I did not take in a same, like in a one time. Like I didn't get $10,000 from both person at a time, and I did not spend at a time. And my husband does not like to, I spend a lot for myself, so I need to hide it, you know.
And this is in the same, did you borrow this at the same time that you were making $32 an hour?
Yes,
At that time, there wasn't any problem between you and your husband, was it?
we always have a problem, but
Okay.
we are just mutually staying in the same, under the roof for my son. This is not the first time, when I call a cop, that's not the first time he hit me. He hit me so many times. And
I apologize, I did not hear any of that. I did not understand any of that answer.
I said, we leaving, Mr. Smith asked me that we don't have that time, no problem with me and my husband. I said, yes, we do have problem for many years, but we are living in same roof because of my son. I do want give him a chance and raise our son together. Even he hit me, I left his apartment couple times, and I joined with my parents because he hit me. But after that, his friends came and tell that he never gonna do again, and I forgave him, and we come back together. So we do have this abusive, toxic relationship for a long time.
Pass the witness.
Hi, Ms. Springer.
All right, just a few things on follow-up. Your Honor, we didn't go through the process of admitting the exhibits that were presented in earlier, and I would ask that all the exhibits that I previously filed would enter into evidence.
I know you had exhibits 5 and 6. Were there any others?
Yes, sir, there's a total of 7 exhibits. I can go through each of them with the witness if you want me to. It's
Well,
the summary of requested relief, which we've been following, her financial statement, her earnings statement.
let me just find out first, Mr. Smith, do you object to any of those exhibits?
I object to 1 and 7. One is merely cumulative and does not have any information on it. It's just a bolstering summary.
Okay, so
And
do
seven,
you not object to 2 through 6?
no, I do not.
Okay, so 2 through 6 will be admitted.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. All right, Mr. Smith had asked you about the 2018 Toyota Corolla.
Yes.
Did you or your husband contribute any money at all to that vehicle?
No,
Whose money has gone to pay for that car?
my dad's.
Is he the one that's driving it?
Yes.
Do you make any claim on that car? Other than,
That's on my name, but I do not claim that.
okay, he gave it to you as a gift, but
Yeah.
he did that because you didn't have credit,
Yes.
and then he's made all the payments and he's driving it.
Yes.
So you never really received the gift.
Yes. Kind of.
All right. So there's no money whatsoever from you or your husband that goes into that car.
Yes.
Now, when you were working for your first job, your compensation was made in paper checks, is that right?
Yes.
Did you go to the bank every time you had a paper check?
No.
Okay, so the $13,000 deposit that we're talking about, was that 2 or 3 checks?
I could not recall. It could be 2, it could be 3.
Okay, but that was not earned at that particular time frame. It was earned
No.
before that. Okay, and then starting in January of 2021, you've had direct deposit.
Yes.
So the reason the deposits on your account are not every 2 weeks is because you had paper checks
Yes.
and didn't make it to the bank every time.
Yes.
Now, the 2019 tax return, was there any effort that you know of on your husband's part to report any cash income?
I just know I got my W-2 from what I work. I reported to the federal government and I give it to my husband, and we filed it together, but he did his part and I signed it. I don't know what he did and what he didn't.
Okay, and for 2020, he was continuing to make cash income, is that right?
Yes.
And how many hours per week has he been working?
He works 7 days a week. He works around 7 to 8 hours per week.
Okay, so the pay stubs that we've got that reflect the 40-hour work week are not reflective of his actual work hours.
Yes.
Now, with respect to your parents living in the house, do they provide childcare for your child?
Yes.
And what hours are you working?
My hour, as I say, like is really depends of every week. But I work long
Okay.
hour.
So what is a normal shift?
Every weekend I work 6 in the morning to 10 in the night.
Okay.
I mean, every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and every regular day is 2 to 10. That's my main shift. But because of COVID, now we have my Colorado County has very high percentage of COVID reported. So we have to do twice a week the testing for COVID. So I'm one of the member of that testing group. So I have to go 2 days extra shift to do all the COVID testing.
Okay. Now, would you be able to work your job the way that you've been working your job without the help of your parents?
No.
Okay. And what else do your parents do for you?
My mom cook every day. We eat our home cooked food because we have it as a Muslim. We have a lot of restriction what we can eat, what we cannot. So my mom cook every day. My dad helped to clean my houses. Basically, I don't do nothing in that house or at the work. I don't do nothing. He take care. They take care of my child. My child even sleep with my parents.
Okay. And then they do contribute to the groceries from time to time.
Yes.
And what about the utilities and that type of thing?
No, they don't contribute anything.
Okay. Oh,
And I want to add it some more that as our culture that the parents raise kids, and when the kids grow up, they take care of their parents. That's the culture. That's what we believe. My husband's also take care of his family too.
okay. Now, Mr. Smith was asking you about a $10,000 cash withdrawal from your checking account.
Yes.
That pretty closely coincides with a cash payment on your husband's credit card that we were going over with earlier. Do you remember that?
Yes.
There was I believe it was 10,000 and some odd dollars paid in cash, as shown on exhibit 4, I think it was, or 5. 6, excuse me. So there was a payment on November the 9th, cash to his credit card and paid at the bank of $8,175.32. Was that cash from your checking account?
No.
How does Mr. Islam keep his cash?
He do have safe deposit box. So I really don't know is he put there. Sometimes I heard that from him, they have.
Objection, hearsay.
Is that,
Here,
is that from the party making this statement?
What she said was, I heard.
Okay, and so who did she hear that from?
My husband.
Okay, so objection overruled.
That he kept money sometimes he on his where he worked they have a safe deposit box, like a lock box. It's not safe deposit, lock box. He kept money there. That's he told me one time, and I cannot ask more than like 2 questions at a time because all of them I gonna get a bid. So I just hear what I hear and just okay.
okay, so if he was making large cash payments on his credit card personally at the bank, that did not come from your checking account.
No.
Okay, and when you were borrowing money from your dad and your friend, you had an income at that time, did you not?
Yes, I do.
So why did you find it necessary to borrow money from your dad and from your friend?
Because he does not like that I buy what I want to buy, like my makeup stuff, doing my hair, doing all the hair treatment. As a woman, I love to go to spa. He does not like that. And he wants the statement every month from my bank account and also my credit card account. And he go through each where I spend, what I spend. I have to tell them everything. And if anything he doesn't like, he start fight with me. So I want to escape all the fighting and just go around and work around it.
Now, the fact that you've gotten a job and you have a good income at this time, do you feel that that should excuse your husband from supporting your son?
No.
Okay. Now, you've been able to make ends meet since the separation on your income and the help that your parents have given you? Is that right?
Can you repeat one more time?
Have you been able to meet your expenses with your income and the help that your parents have been giving you since the separation?
Yes.
Okay, do you feel that your husband should not contribute to your son because you make a living?
No.
Has your husband made any payments on the house?
When the earning money,
The earnest money?
that come from his check, and it was $2,400.
Okay, and then the down payment on the house, where did that come from?
The $5,800 some $100, $58,000 some $100 is come from my account.
Okay, now your husband is on the mortgage loan as well as you, correct?
Yes.
So it's his obligation as well as yours?
Yes.
And you've been the one that's been making that payment?
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to cover with you?
That's all.
Is there anything else that you were concerned about, Mr. Smith?
No, how about my card is. We're gonna talk.
All right. Tentatively, this, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Smith, anything else?
Yes, I have a couple of cleanup things. Your Honor, we had marked as respondents exhibit number 1 per 2020 W-2. And exhibit R2, let's see. I think R1 and then there's R2, which is from LTC of Austin County 1. So there's 2 different W-2 forms. And we would ask that her pay stubs from, I'm gonna take that back. The only other one I need is marked R4, which is the 2019 income tax return. We'd offer those into evidence.
Any objection? Then respondents 1, 2, and 4.
Okay, let me just be clear which ones they are, Your Honor. It's the W-2s from 2020 for my client, the 1040 from 2019, and the third one was what?
Income tax return.
Oh, that's one I already identified. I've got the 1040 from 2019, the income tax return, and her W-2 wage and tax statements, and there was one other thing that he was trying to admit. I was not this morning, Your Honor, so I haven't been able to look through them. I mean, none of this was produced in advance of the hearing, and I got them this morning right when the hearing started.
All right, what was exhibit number 2, Mr. Smith?
Okay, exhibit number 2 is the W-2 form from the employer named LTC of Austin County 1, LLC.
Mr. Smith, I've got the Eagle Lake Nursing Home. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's the CCL LTC.
No, that's the first one. I'm sorry, Judge. They duplicated this. The 2 W-2s are stapled together, so we could do that as one exhibit. If one's from the nursing home and one's from the other LLC.
So
Is there some way to identify these?
Yes.
Okay, I see there's an LTC of Austin County. It's a W-2 for 2020.
Yes.
Showing wages of $7,043.42.
Yes.
And then there's Eagle Lake Nursing 2020 W-2 showing income of $133,916.32.
That's correct.
Is it another one?
That's another one, that's called.
Okay, while we're talking about, we're going to go off the record while we're trying to identify these. So I have, trying to figure out which one is, what number is this going to be?
That's page, Judge, could you hold it back up there a second? Let me get my bifocals in the right perspective.
They're double copy on these. I have
There's 2 copies.
Yes, that is the first page of Exhibit 1, Respondents Exhibit 1.
I have no objection to her W-2s being admitted into evidence from.
What's this one?
Yeah, there should be one from Eagle Lake Nursing, and the other one is from LTC of Austin County. And it looks like there's 2 from Eagle Lake Nursing.
But they're the same thing.
Yeah, they're the same thing.
Okay, so is the Eagle Lake LTC of Austin County, is that going to be number 2?
Well, he had them as a composite, Your Honor.
I did work on this, but I quit the job. Yeah, I don't know why I work there.
And how do you want this one marked?
I had that as exhibit 4, respondents exhibit 4.
All right, so okay, we can go back on the record. Is there any objection then to respondents exhibit 1 and respondents exhibit 4?
I do not object to 1, which is the W-2s of Ms. Akhtar, and I do not object to number 4, which is the 2019 tax return.
All right, so respondents exhibit 1 and 4 are admitted. All right, any other questions? We need to move it along here, so.
No, I'm ready to call my first witness.
Okay, so Ms. Springer, do you rest?
We rest, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Smith, you may proceed.
Okay. I want you to move up here so that they get a good view of you. And
I'm having a hard time hearing Mr. Smith.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
That's a lot better.
Okay, now you're gonna translate whatever I say into his ear and then repeat back whatever he says. What is your name?
MD
আপনার নাম কি?
MD রেজাউল ইসলাম।
MD রেজাউল ইসলাম।
Will you spell that, please?
Spelling বল।
Your Honor, I object right now because I can't see the witness. I can only see the translator.
Okay. Let's see, yeah, get Mr. Islam, and let me just take judicial notice that on the documents, his name is spelled capital M period, capital D period, REZAULISLAM.
For some reason, our lighting seems to have gone bad. Do you see him just in a shadow form?
I can see him now.
Okay. Okay, where do you live?
আপনি কোথায় বাস করেন?
বেলভিল।
You live in Belleville.
I
Belleville?
can't hear the interpretation, Your Honor.
And Ms. Lozano's shaking her head. She can't hear either.
You gotta repeat it loud,
Okay.
okay? Where are you employed?
আপনি কোথায় কাজ করেন?
সিলিশাল গ্যাস স্টেশন।
You work in CCL gas station.
Was that Silly Shell gas station?
Yes.
It's very hard to hear, Your Honor. I can't understand the interpreter.
You work in CCL gas station. That's all he says.
Okay, get as close to the mic, okay?
I need the interpreter to be close to the mic because I can't understand the witness and then I can't hear the interpretation.
Okay. What do you make? How much money do you make?
কত টাকা আপনার বাড়ান?
প্রত্যেক সপ্তাহে 40 আওয়ার।
You work every week 40 hours.
Do you actually work more time than that?
আপনি কি
No, our object is not responsive to the question. He was asked how much money he makes and then he answered 40 hours.
That we're going to have to be a little bit lax on this question and answer. There's just,
Okay, I understand that, Judge, but I can't hear the interpreter. It's very, very difficult to hear.
can we get the microphone by the interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor. Move up. Okay, and speak up. Okay. Now, how much per hour do you make?
আপনি কত টাকা আওয়ারে মেক করেন?
$12।
He make $12 hour.
Okay. And you get paid for 40 hours a week?
আপনি কি 40 ঘন্টা সপ্তাহে পে করেন?
হ্যাঁ।
Is that your agreement, even though you're working?
Right.
more than that?
There's nothing for Ms. Lozano to take down with that response. That the response was,
Okay. Is it your agreement with your, may I lead a little bit, Judge?
yes.
is it your agreement with your boss that you will get paid for 40 hours a week, even though you are on the job more time than that?
আপনি কি আপনার employer সাথে 40 ঘন্টায় পে সপ্তাহে পে করার কথা আপনি যত ঘন্টায় কাজ করেন না কেন?
সপ্তাহে 40 ঘন্টা পে করা।
He say he gotta pay 40 hours, that's it.
Do you understand that under American law that you may be entitled to more money than that?
আপনি কি জানেন যে আমেরিকার ল অনুযায়ী আপনি এর চেয়ে আরো বেশি পয়সা পাওয়ার কথা?
না, ওই জন্য।
He say he don't know.
Okay. But you are only receiving $12 times 40 per week.
আপনার যে 12 times for $12 hour 40 ঘন্টা সপ্তাহে এটাই আপনার পান।
হ্যাঁ, এটাই ঠিক, এটাই রাইট।
Your Honor, may I have a continuing objection to the lead?
Yes,
The man's not testifying, he's just saying what his attorney wants him to say. I know we're giving him some leeway, but it's just too much.
okay. You can have a running objection.
Okay.
He did not translate the answer.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? What did he not do?
The witness answered, and then Ms. Springer objected. I never got the translation of the answer, and I don't speak Bengali.
Okay.
He says he worked 40 hours a week, $12 hour.
Okay. Do you get any cash under the table?
আপনি কি নগদে কোনো পয়সা পান?
না, আমি কোনো পয়সা পাই না নগদে।
He don't get any money in cash.
So is $12 an hour that is reflected on your W-2 the accurate payment that you have in fact received?
আপনার W2 তে যেটা উল্লেখ করা আছে ওই টাকাই কি আপনি পান?
ওই টাকাই পাই আমি।
He get that money that is mentioned in the W2. See,
And did you ever get any more money than that W-2?
আপনি কি ওই W2 চেয়ে কখনো বেশি টাকা পান?
না।
He said he never received more than that.
Okay. Have you ever,
Your Honor, I object to the translation. He's obviously putting more words in the witness's mouth than the witness said. He's completing the answer. And I mean, I don't speak the language either, but I can tell from the translation, I'm objecting, that he is not translating word for word and he is finishing answers, and that's completely inappropriate. And I object to the translator from the get-go, and I certainly object to his adding to the answers.
Objections overruled.
have you ever harmed your son in any way?
Your Honor, I object, that's not relevant.
The objection sustained.
আপনি কি আপনার ছেলেকে কখনো আঘাত করছেন?
না, আমি কখনো।
The judge sustained the objection, so you don't answer that. Okay. Where do you want to pick your child up for the beginning of your visitation?
আপনি কোথা থেকে আপনার বাচ্চাকে প্রথম নিতে চান? প্রথমবার নিছেন?
ম্যাকডোনাল্ড পার্কিং লট।
He take him from McDonald's parking lot.
Now, you've been doing that with your father-in-law, is that correct?
হ্যাঁ।
But that,
আপনি কি আপনার শ্বশুরের কাছ থেকে নিছেন ভাই?
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ।
Yes.
you understand that the father-in-law is saying that's a burden he cannot do 2 days a week at McDonald's.
আপনার শ্বশুর বলছে সে 2 দিনের বেশি 2 দিন করে নিতে পারবে না ম্যাকডোনাল্ডস থেকে। 2 দিন করতে পারবে না সে।
এখানে একটু ব্যাখ্যা করি।
He wants to tell something about it.
I couldn't understand the answer.
The answer, he asking, Mr. Charles asking to him that the father-in-law, he don't want to do more than 2 days. He don't want to do 2 days. So he have something to say about it.
Do you
That
need,
was the answer. Your Honor, and I object again, it's not even the correct interpretation of what Mr. Smith said. He was repeating what Mr. Smith said, and it's not what he said.
না আমি বল
Wait a second.
I think he was repeating the question.
In English, which I heard.
I think he was repeating in English Mr. Smith's question.
Okay. What do you need to tell the court about the way visitation has been done?
আপনি কোর্টকে কিভাবে বলতে চান যে আপনি কিভাবে আপনার বাচ্চাকে দেখতে চান সপ্তাহে কয়দিন?
আমি সপ্তাহে অ্যাটলিস্ট 2 দিন দেখব, 2 দিন। আর আমার শ্বশুর যেহেতু কাজ করে, তো যদি আসায় প্রবলেম হয় তাহলে আমি আমার বাসার সামনে দাঁড়ালাম কোন একটা বাড়িতে আমাদের ওনার।
Okay. Could I stop him for just a minute, Judge? Would you repeat what he said to this thus far?
He said he wanna see 2 days his kids. If it is really problem with his father-in-law to bring the kids for 2 days, so he can go drop him any nearby the other people's house to the kid, so that way kid can go to the house.
Is there another place that would not require your father-in-law to be involved, that you could pick the child up?
আপনার শ্বশুরের ছাড়া আপনি কি অন্য কোনো জায়গা বলতে পারেন যেখান থেকে আপনার বাচ্চাকে আপনি নিতে পারেন বা ড্রপ করতে পারেন?
Yeah, my house, আমার একটা বাড়ি আছে, আমার বাড়ির পাশের বাড়ির পরের বাড়ি আমার ফ্রেন্ডের বাসা। সো এক বাসা পরে আমি ওখান থেকে আমার ছেলেটার আমি ওখানে দাঁড়ানো আমার বাসার সামনে, ফ্রেন্ডের বাসার সামনে, আর ফ্রেন্ডের বাসা থেকে পিক আপ করে আবার টাইম মতো আবার ড্রপ দিলাম, আমার ছেলে হাঁটতে হাঁটতে আমার বাসায় চলে যাবে, অসুবিধা নেই।
He said he had a friend house next to his house over there, so if they bring the kids over there, he can pick it up from there and he can drop there.
What is the friend?
Okay, I couldn't understand that answer. What is he saying? There's a place somewhere? I couldn't understand.
He says he had a friend house next to his house right now, so if the kids come there, he can pick it up from there and he can drop there.
I object this question.
What's the friend's name?
আপনার বোন নাম কি?
আপনার ফ্রেন্ডের নাম কি?
আপনার বোন কোথায়?
সঞ্জয়।
Speak up, speak up.
দূরে হয়।
সঞ্জয় মজুমদার।
সঞ্জয় মজুমদার।
Can you repeat?
His name is Sanjay Majumdar.
All right, keep going, Mr. Smith.
Okay. For now, are you satisfied with 2 days a week, 3 hours at a time?
2 দিন সপ্তাহে 3 ঘন্টা করে আপনি কি এটাতে স্যাটিসফাইড?
4 ঘন্টা করে 2 দিন ইজ ওকে। আমি নিতে চাই 2 দিন 4 ঘন্টা করে।
He says he wanted 2 days but 4 hours a day.
Okay. Did you make the payments on the credit cards?
ক্রেডিট কার্ডের পেমেন্ট কি আপনি দেন?
হ্যাঁ।
He says yes, he did.
Where did you get the money to make those credit cards?
আপনি ক্রেডিট কার্ডের পয়সা কোথা থেকে পেলেন?
আমার ক্রেডিট কার্ডে আমরা যখন মুভ হই তখন আমি আমার ওয়াইফ আমরা ওয়্যার হাউসে যাই, আমার ক্রেডিট কার্ড ইউজ করি, তখন আমার ওয়াইফ বলে যে হচ্ছে তুমি ক্রেডিট কার্ড ইউজ করো, আমি তোমার টাকা দেবো না, তুমি পেমেন্ট করে দিও। সো যে 10,000 টাকা আমার ওয়াইফ আমি ক্রেডিট কার্ড ইউজ করছি, আমার ওয়াইফ আমাকে টাকা দিয়েছে, সেই টাকা আমি ক্রেডিট কার্ডে পেমেন্ট করছি।
Okay, slow down.
He says the credit card payment he made last those, his wife gave him the money and he paid that credit card payment. That's all he says.
Is the testimony of your wife accurate that she never gave you any money?
So I object, the evidence will speak for itself. He doesn't need to pit one witness against the other.
Objection overruled.
My wife give me money, that's why I use the credit card. I have no money.
He says he don't have no money. He used the credit card, the big amount, because his wife gave him the money.
My wife has a lot of money, she used this.
He says his wife have money, so that's why he give him money, give him money.
Why do you need the Toyota Corolla?
This my car.
What do you mean by it's my car?
I buy this car is Toyota Corolla.
He bought the car, that Toyota Corolla. So
Your Honor, I object to the interpreter interpreting the English that the respondent is speaking.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, well, we either need Mr. Islam to speak Bengali and the interpreter to translate, or have Mr. Islam just speak English, one of the two.
sorry for that.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable testifying in English? Do you have a good enough command of the English language to testify in English?
No,
আপনি কি ইংলিশে কথা বলতে স্বাচ্ছন্দ্য বোধ করেন না?
no.
He said no.
So he just needs to answer in Bengali and let the translator speak in English then.
Okay. Now, it is true that your wife travels more than you do to get to work, right?
আপনার স্ত্রী আপনার চেয়ে বেশি ট্রাভেল করে কাজে যাওয়ার জন্য, এটা কি আপনি বিশ্বাস করেন?
No,
He
It's
said
not,
no.
how much does she travel?
সে কতখানি বেশি জার্নি করে, সে কতখানি ট্রাভেল করে?
my wife 12-13 মাইল, আমি ট্রাভেল করি 21 মাইল।
He said his wife travel 12 mile and he travel 21 mile.
Okay. Does the wife also, if there was an emergency, is the father-in-law's car also available to her?
আপনার শ্বশুরের গাড়িও কি তা আপনার স্ত্রীর জন্য প্রয়োজন?
Objection calls for speculation, Your Honor.
He can just testify about what he knows when he lived at the residence, so objection's overruled.
Did you answer the question?
আপনার শ্বশুর কি আপনি মনে করেন যে আপনার শ্বশুরের গাড়ি আপনার স্ত্রীর জন্য প্রয়োজন?
না, মনে করি না।
He said no, he don't feel like that.
Okay, let me repeat the question, Judge.
Your Honor, it's asked and answered. Objection.
Let's just move on to something else, Mr. Smith.
Okay. If the court orders you not to speak to your wife at all except through the attorney, can you do that?
আপনি যদি কোর্ট আপনাকে অর্ডার করে আপনার স্ত্রীর সাথে আপনি আর কখনোই কথা বলতে পারবেন না অ্যাটর্নি ছাড়া, আপনি কি এটাতে রাজি আছেন?
না, আমি রাজি নাই।
He said he don't want it. He said no.
If the judge orders you to do something, are you going to do it?
আপনি জাজ যদি এটা অর্ডার করে তাহলে কি আপনি বলবেন না?
জাজ অর্ডার করলে আমি বলবো হ্যাঁ।
He says if judge order, whatever judge order, he obey that.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Ms. Springer?
Pardon me?
Yes,
You
Ms.
take the
Springer.
witness. It's hard to hear, Your Honor. How long have you worked at this gas station?
আপনি কতদিন যাবত গ্যাস স্টেশনে কাজ করেন?
1 বছর 3 মাস।
1 year 3 months.
And where did you work before that?
এর আগে কোথায় কাজ?
সাবওয়ে কাজ করতাম।
You work in Subway.
Where?
Subway.
Subway?
Yes.
All right, now before your wife went to school, you were supporting the family, were you not?
আপনার ওয়াইফ যখন স্কুলে যেত তখন কি আপনার ফ্যামিলিরে সাপোর্ট করছেন সম্পূর্ণভাবে আপনি?
আবার বলেন।
আপনার ওয়াইফ যখন স্কুলে যাইতো তখন কি আপনি আপনার ফ্যামিলিকে সম্পূর্ণভাবে সাপোর্ট করছেন?
হ্যাঁ, আমি সম্পূর্ণভাবে সাপোর্ট করছি।
He says yes, he support his family.
Okay, and the family included himself, his wife, his son, and her parents, correct?
আপনার ফ্যামিলিতে আপনি, আপনার ছেলে, আপনার স্ত্রী এবং আপনার ওয়াইফের প্যারেন্ট সহ ছিলেন।
জি, yes.
Yes.
All right, and you managed to pay all of your bills with your salary from Subway and this gas station, didn't you?
আপনি কি ওই সাবওয়ের পয়সা এবং গ্যাস স্টেশনের পয়সা দিয়ে আপনার পুরো ফ্যামিলি চালাইতে পারছেন?
জি জি, সাবওয়ের টাকা আমি যে সাবওয়ের যখন কাজ করতাম তখন ভালো টিপস পাইতাম।
He say when he work in Subway he get some good tips too.
And you and your wife don't have large credit card bills, do you?
আপনার কি কোনো বড় ক্রেডিট কার্ড বিল ছিল তখন?
না, সেই সময় আমার কোনো বড় ক্রেডিট কার্ড বিল ছিল না।
He said that time he don't have no big credit card bills.
You have no running debt on your credit cards, do you?
ওই সময় কি তখন আপনার কোনো ক্রেডিট কার্ডে বড় ডেট ছিল? ক্রেডিট কার্ডে বিল ছিল?
না, ক্রেডিট কার্ডে আমার ওই সময় বড় কোনো বিল নাই।
He don't have any big bill that time.
And you don't now, do you?
Can you repeat that question, ma'am, please? Can you repeat that?
জোরে বলে।
Ma'am, can you repeat that, please?
You don't have any bills, big bills now either, do you?
আপনি কি কোনো বিল বাকি আছে এখন? এখন কি কোনো ক্রেডিট কার্ড বিল বাকি আছে?
ক্রেডিট কার্ডের বিল আমি দিয়ে দিয়েছি, বাকি নাই।
He don't have any bill right now.
All right, and you have been able to pay all of your bills on time every month, haven't you?
আপনি কি আপনার ক্রেডিট কার্ডের বিল সবকিছু সময় মতো পে করতে পারেন?
আমি আমার যে বিগ বিল আমার ওয়াইফ আমাকে টাকা দিয়েছে, এগুলো আমি সময় মতো পে করছি। আর এর আগে যেসব বিল আছে ছোট ছোট বিল, ওগুলো আমি সময় মতো পে করছি।
He say he got the small bill, he pay in time, but the big one, his wife help him to pay.
Mr. Islam, you have a good credit rating, don't you?
আপনার কি ক্রেডিট কার্ডে ভালো ক্রেডিট কার্ড রেট, বিগ ভালো রেট আপনার ক্রেডিট কার্ডে? ক্রেডিট স্কোর ভালো কিনা?
হ্যাঁ, আমার ক্রেডিট স্কোর ভালো।
Yes.
All right, you're able to go and buy a car on credit.
আপনি কি ক্রেডিট কার্ডের যে ক্রেডিট আছে তাদের আপনি গাড়ি কিনতে পারেন?
জি, আমি কিনছি গাড়ি, আমার গাড়ি কিনছে, আমার গুড ক্রেডিট গাড়ি কিনছে।
He say he got a good credit and he could buy the car.
All right, and you were able to qualify for a mortgage.
আপনি কি মর্গেজের জন্য কোয়ালিফাই?
কোন
মানে এই মর্গেজের জন্য কি
এটা কোনটা?
he asking what mortgage you talking about?
I'm talking about the mortgage on the marital home.
এই বাড়ির মর্গেজ পে করার জন্য কি আপনার ইনকাম যথেষ্ট?
হ্যাঁ।
He say yes.
Okay, and you were able to build this good credit rating and pay all of your bills on $12 an hour, 40 hours a week.
Can you repeat that question, ma'am, please? Can you repeat that question, ma'am, please? I don't get it.
You were able to pay all of your bills and build a good credit rating, buy a house, buy cars, pay all your bills on $12 an hour, 40 hours a week. Is that your testimony?
আপনি কি বলতে চাচ্ছেন যে আপনি 12 টাকা করে আওয়ার করে 40 ঘন্টা কাজ করে এই সমস্ত ক্রেডিট কার্ডের এত বিল এবং এই বাড়ির বিল এগুলো সব আপনি পে করতে পারবেন?
না, আমি এটা এত করতে পারবো না।
He say he can't.
You have a credit rating that's good that you can get credit, correct?
আপনার যে ক্রেডিট রেটিং গুড আছে আপনি ক্রেডিট পাইতে পারেন, এটা কি আপনি জানেন?
না, আমি জানি না এটা।
He say he don't know.
He doesn't know, okay. All right, we'll move on. You told your lawyer that you do not receive any cash from your employer, is that correct?
আপনি আপনার এমপ্লয়ার কাছ থেকে কোনো ক্যাশ পান না।
না আমি কোনো কাজ
আপনার লয়ার। He
হ্যাঁ
say yes.
Okay, and the story that I've heard up until now is that you work 7 days a week, long hours every day. Is that incorrect?
আপনাকে আপনি 7 দিনই কাজ করেন এবং লম্বা hour কাজ করেন।
না আমি 7 দিন কাজ করি না।
He say he don't work 7 days now.
Okay, well, you've been offered weekend possession of your son, have you not?
আপনি উইকেন্ডে আপনার ছেলেকে নিতে চান।
হ্যাঁ
He say he can take his son weekend.
Okay, and your excuse for not accepting a weekend with your son is that you have to work. Isn't that true?
আপনি বলছেন যে আপনার ছেলেকে আপনি উইকেন্ডে নিতে চান না, আপনি ওয়ার্ক করেন দেখেন।
না আমি এখন তো ওয়ার্ক করি না।
He say he don't work right now on weekend.
But while we were trying to afford you possession of your son, you wouldn't take it because you had to work such long hours every day of the week. Isn't that true?
আপনার প্রশ্ন করছে আপনি কি আপনার সন্তানকে নিতে চান না, যে আপনি লং আওয়ার কাজ করেন দেখে আপনি নিতে চান না লম্বা সময়ের জন্য বাচ্চাকে, এটা কি সত্যি না?
কি হয়েছে?
আপনি আপনার বাচ্চাকে লং আওয়ার কাজ করেন দেখে আপনার বাচ্চাকে আপনি নিতে চান না, এটা কি সত্যি?
সে সময় আমি বিজি ছিলাম, আমি ব্যস্ত ছিলাম আর কি, কাজ ছাড়াও কাজের বাইরে ব্যস্ত ছিলাম। এখন আমি ব্যস্ত নাই, আমি এখন আমার ছেলেরে নিতে চাই।
He said that time that he talking about, that time he is kind of busy without his job too, but right now he don't have nothing to do, he's free now.
Would you repeat that answer? I couldn't understand you.
He said like that was that time that he talking about his son, that time he is busy with job and all other activities, but right now he don't have anything to do.
Okay, and as of yesterday, you were still working the same hours, but today, when we're talking about child support, all of a sudden you don't have work. Is that what you're telling us?
আপনি বলতে চাচ্ছে যে আপনি কালকে এত আওয়ার কাজ করছেন, আজকে এখন যেহেতু চাইল্ড সাপোর্টের কথা আসছে এই জন্য আপনি বলতে যাচ্ছেন যে আপনি আজকে এখন কাজ করেন না, এটা কি সত্যি?
না এত আবার তো আমি কাজ করি নাই কোনো সময়
He said he never worked that many hours.
So his refusal to take the child for a weekend, your refusal to take the child for the weekend previously has been for some other reason than having to work?
ওই দিনকে আপনি বাচ্চাকে নিতে চান নাই, সেটা কি আপনি শুধু কাজেরই কোনো কারণ ছিল না অন্য কোনো কারণ ছিল?
না অন্য যে কোনো কারণ ছিল, আমি বাইরে থাকতাম কিছুদিন, ওইভাবে আমার কাজের জন্য না আর কি অ্যাকচুয়ালি।
He says it's not for his work, but he has difficulties to live, that's why.
Say again?
He say he don't do that for work, he has something to do, that's why.
Okay, so what is it that you're doing if you're not working?
আপনি যদি কাজ না করে থাকেন ওই দিন তাহলে কি করছেন?
না আমার মন খারাপ থাকে, আমি নিরিবিলি একখানে ফাঁকে যা বসে থাকি, আমার খুব ভালো লাগে না, এই জন্য আমি কাজ করি না আর কি ওই সময়।
He say his mind is not okay on that day, that's why he just sitting home, he don't want to come to work that day.
Would you repeat that answer?
He say his mind is not okay that day, that's why he don't come to work, and he just sitting in home, so he don't feel good, so that's why he don't come to work.
Okay, so what, have you been to the doctor?
আপনি কি ডাক্তারের কাছে গেছেন কোনো কারণে?
না আমি ডাক্তারের কাছে যাই নাই।
No, he don't go to doctor.
So he's just sitting home now and not working. You're not working at all?
আপনি কি একদমই কাজ করেন না, বাসায় বসে আছেন?
না আমি 40 ঘন্টা কাজ করি, 40 ঘন্টা করতে যাবে রেস্ট, আর বাদ বাকি যে সময়টুকু আমি একটু ঘুরতে বেড়াই, কোথায় যাই, একটু পার্কে যা বসি বিকালে, এইটুকুই। আমার মন খারাপ, আমার কাজকর্ম ভালো লাগে না, আমি এক সময় এটা আমার
He
বউ
says
নাই আমার কাছে, ওর ছেলের কাজ করি না।
he say his mind is not okay right now, so he don't feel like to work many hours, so he just work not more than 40 hours, and rest of the time he just sitting on the park, that's all he doing and passing his time.
What are your job duties, Mr. Islam?
Can you repeat that, ma'am?
What are your job duties?
আপনার কাজের কাজ কি আপনার এখানে?
গ্যাস স্টেশন
গ্যাস স্টেশনে কি
গ্যা-
কাজ করেন?
গ্যাস স্টেশন আমি ক্যাশিয়ারে কাজ করি।
You work as a cashier.
Tell me how many miles you drive to go to work.
আপনি কত মাইল ড্রাইভ করেন কাজে যাওয়ার জন্য?
21 মাইল ড্রাইভ করি।
21 mile.
Okay, and where do you live?
আপনি এখন কোথায়?
বেলভিল।
He live in
Pardon me?
Belleville.
Slow down. Answer and then.
Where do you live, Mr. Islam?
আপনি এখন কোথায় থাকেন?
আমি বেলভিল থাকি।
He live in Belleville.
And where's his job?
আপনার চাকরি কোথায়?
সিলি।
He work in Sealy.
Okay, and what's the mileage between Belleville and Sealy?
Can you repeat that question again?
What is the mileage between Belleville and Sealy?
থেকে Sealy distance কত?
আমি যে বেলভিলে যে বাসায় থাকি সেই বাসায় থেকে আমার কাজের দূরত্ব 21 মাইল।
Which house he live in Belleville? From that house to his work is 21 mile.
Is that one way?
One way. এটা কি আপনার এক
Yeah, 36 and business road too.
No, এটা কি আপনার রাস্তায় 21 মাইল আসা 21 মাইল যাওয়া নাকি দুইটা মিলাই?
না, আসা যাওয়া 42 মাইল।
He say one way 21 mile, two way 42 mile.
Okay, and how long does it take from your house to get to work?
আপনি কত মিনিট?
20 মিনিট 22 মিনিট রাস্তায় যদি বিজি থাকে হয়তো বা 25 মিনিট এরকম।
He said like it takes 20 to 25 minutes. If it is too busy, then 25 minutes, otherwise 20 minutes.
Now, the Nissan vehicle is adequate to get you from your house to your work, is it not?
আপনার এই নিশান গাড়ি যেটা আছে এটা দিয়ে কি আপনার কাজের থেকে বাসায় যাওয়া কি পসিবল?
না।
He said no.
Why not?
কেন না?
বিকজ আমার ওই গাড়িটা তো আছে 2006 সালের গাড়ি। ওই গাড়িটা অনেক পুরানো গাড়ি। আর ওই এত লম্বা চালানো ওই গাড়ি সম্ভব না। ওই গাড়ি এসি কাজ করে না, তারপরে আছে টায়ার খুব একটা ভালো নাই, হিটও কাজ করে না ঠিক মতো।
He said that car have a lot of mileage and it's too old car, so and the tire is not good and air condition not good, so that car need to work done.
I suppose you prefer for your wife and your child to be in the older car with the bald tires. Is that what your testimony is?
So আপনি বলতে চান যে আপনার বাচ্চা আর আপনার ওয়াইফ কে আপনি পুরান চাকা দিয়ে গাড়ি দিয়ে রাখতে চান, আপনি নতুন গাড়ি চালাতে চান?
না, আমার আর একটা গাড়ি তো আছে। আমার শ্বশুর যে গাড়িটা চালায় ওই গাড়িটা তো আমার গাড়ি। সো ও আমার শ্বশুরের গাড়িতে ইউজ করতে পারবে, তারা সমস্যা না। মানে তো নতুন গাড়ি একটা আছে আমাদের বাসায়।
He said he had another vehicle in his house, so that's a new car, so they can use that car.
I couldn't hear the answer.
He says that he had another new car in his home. His father-in-law driving that on, so he said they can drive that on.
All right, the newer car belongs to the father-in-law, does it not?
ওই নতুন কার তো আপনার শ্বশুরের, আপনার না।
না, ওই কার আমার শ্বশুরের না, ওই কার আমি কিনেছি।
He said that he buy that car. That car is not his father-in-law's car.
How much money did you pay on that car, Mr. Islam?
আপনি ওই কারের জন্য কত টাকা পে করছেন?
ওটা আমার শ্বশুরের, আমার শ্বশুরের, আমি যখন কিনেছি তখন পে করে আসছিলাম, আর বাদ বাকি আমার শ্বশুর পে করছে কিছু টাকা।
He said when he buy that car, he pay some money and the rest on his father-in-law pay.
And how much of the money did he pay? How much money did you pay on the car, Mr. Islam? Give me dollars and cents.
আপনি কত টাকা পে করছেন ওই গাড়ির জন্য? কত টাকা
এটা
কত-
তিন বছর 3.5 বছর আগের কথা, আমার মনে নাই এটা আমার কত। তবে আমার ক্রেডিট আমার ক্রেডিট দিয়ে ওই গাড়িটা কেনা হয়েছে আমার নামে, আমার সবকিছু দিয়ে। আমার মনে নাই, এটা 3 বছর 3.5 বছর আগের কথা।
He says 3.5 years before, so they buy the car on his credit, but in his name, so he cannot remember exactly the amount right now.
Okay, well, the fact of the matter is that you've got the best credit of the family, isn't that right, Mr. Islam?
এটা কি সঠিক যে আপনার ক্রেডিট স্কোর ফ্যামিলির মধ্যে সবার চেয়ে ভালো?
হ্যাঁ, আমার ক্রেডিট স্কোর ভালো সবার মধ্যে।
He say yes, his credit score is the best.
And the family used your credit to purchase that vehicle, isn't that true?
Can you repeat that question, ma'am, please? Ma'am, can you repeat that question? I don't listen that.
The family used your credit, Mr. Islam, to purchase that vehicle.
আপনার ফ্যামিলি আপনার ক্রেডিট ইউজ করছে ওই গাড়ি কেনার জন্য?
হ্যাঁ।
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is you did not put any of your cash money toward that car.
আপনি আসলে বলতো কোনো টাকা আপনি ওটার জন্য দেন না, জাস্ট আপনি ক্রেডিট ইউজ করছেন। Is that right? এটা সঠিক।
আমার তো ওই টাকাটা আসলে আমার যে ক্রেডিট কার্ড ইউজ করেছিলাম ওই কেনাতে, তো আমার ক্রেডিট ইউজ করে ওই গাড়ি কেনা, এটা আমার খেয়াল আছে ভালোভাবে।
আপনি কোনো টাকা he say they use his credit card credit, so he don't know.
Okay, so you used your credit, but you didn't make any money payments, and all the payments have been made by your father-in-law. That's correct?
So
That's a yes or no?
পে করেন না, সবকিছু আপনার শ্বশুর পে করছে।
এখন আমি যেদিন কিনা হয় গাড়িটা সেদিনকে আমার খেয়াল নেই আমরা কিভাবে পে করেছিলাম আর কি। তাছাড়া গাড়ি যখন নিয়ে আসছি পরে আমার শ্বশুর এটা পে করছে মান্থলি।
I think that answer is not responsive. It called for a yes or no answer.
Let's find out what the answer is.
Okay.
He says the car by the day they buy, he don't remember how much he paid, but he says that his father-in-law paid the car rest of the payment.
The car still has money owed on it, doesn't it?
ওই গাড়ি কি এখনো পেমেন্ট বাকি আছে?
হ্যাঁ, বাকি আছে।
He says yes.
And who's making those payments?
কে ওই পে করতেছে?
আমার শ্বশুর পে করতেছে।
He say his father-in-law paying that.
Now is it the Camry? Which is the Camry is the newer one, right? The new drive, the 2015?
Yes.
Okay, the 2015 vehicle, before it was involved with the deer, your wife was driving it on a regular basis, was she not?
2015 Camry যখন অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করছে, ডিয়ার হিট করছে, তখন কি আপনার ওয়াইফ ড্রাইভ করতেছিল না আপনি ড্রাইভ করতেছেন?
না, আমার ওয়াইফ ড্রাইভ করতেছিল সেই সময়।
He says my wife driving that car that time.
Pardon me?
He says my wife driving the car that time.
Okay, so before she had the accident, she was the one that was utilizing the 2015 vehicle or 2016 vehicle to drive back and forth to work.
আপনার অ্যাক্সিডেন্টের আগে আপনার ওয়াইফই তো ওই গাড়িটা ব্যবহার করতেছিল কাজে যাওয়া আসার জন্য, এটা কি সত্য না?
না, এটা সব সময় সত্য না।
He says it's not true.
How long have you been driving? When I went to school in Victoria,
Like, when did you start driving it?
I started driving it from 2017.
Your wife started using it when she was going to school for her nursing, did she not?
আপনার স্ত্রী যখন ওই গাড়িটা ব্যবহার করছে যখন সে নার্সিং এ যাচ্ছিল।
এটা 3 বছর আগে আমার ওয়াইফ স্কুলে যাইতো অনেক দূরে, তখন আমি ওই গাড়িটা দিয়েছিলাম। তারপর আমার ওয়াইফ যখন পড়াশোনা শেষ করে বাসায় চলে আসে তখন আমি আমার ওয়াইফ আমার গাড়ি তখন আমি চালাইতাম বেশিরভাগ টাইম, আমার ওয়াইফ মিলেমিশে চালাইতাম দুইজন আর কি। এটা একবার কন্টিনিউ কাউকে দেওয়া না, এরকম না।
He says when his wife goes to school, she used that car because she got to go long way, but after she finish,
Your object that's not responsive.
Right, objection sustained.
She started driving it in 2017, is that not correct?
2017-তে গাড়ি চালায় ওটা, এটা কি সঠিক না? 2017 থেকে।
না না এটা তো না সঠিক না, এটা সঠিক না।
He said no, that's not true.
When did she start going to school?
সে কবে থেকে স্কুলে যাওয়া শুরু করছে?
স্কুলে কবে থেকে যায় আমি 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 এটা জানি না, আমার ওয়াইফ এটা জিজ্ঞেস করেন, উনি বলবে।
He said he cannot remember. Ask his wife.
Okay, well, she was a homemaker for the first part of their marriage, was she not?
আপনার প্রথম অবস্থায় আপনার স্ত্রী হাউস ওয়াইফ ছিল, কোনো কাজ বাজ করে না, এটা কি সঠিক?
হ্যাঁ, কিছুদিন কাজ করে নাই।
The first few days he no work, that's what he says.
I couldn't understand the answer.
The first few times, like few months, she don't work.
Okay, well, I was talking about the years.
প্রথম বছর, পুরো বছর সে কাজ করে নাই নাকি?
হ্যাঁ, কাজ করছে।
He says she worked.
Mr. Islam, how long did it take your wife to finish school?
আপনার স্ত্রী কত বছর লাগছে স্কুল শেষ করতে?
এটা 4 মাসের কোর্স, তাতে স্কুল শেষ করতে হয়তো 1 বছর এরকম বা তার একটু বেশি এরকম লাগছে, হয়তো 1.5 বছর এরকম।
He says it's like a 4-month course, but it takes almost like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was in school for a good year and a half, wasn't she?
So সে 1 বছর 1.5 বছর যাবত স্কুল করছে, এটাই তো সত্য।
হ্যাঁ, এটাই সত্য।
Yeah, he said that's true.
And she drove that vehicle all the time that she was in school, didn't she?
So সে যতদিন স্কুল করছে ততদিনই সেই গাড়িটা চালাইছে, এটা তো সত্য।
হ্যাঁ, সত্য এটা।
Yes.
And then when she started to work, she continued to drive that vehicle, didn't she?
সে যখন থেকে কাজ শুরু করছে তারপরে তখন থেকে সেই গাড়িটা চালায়, এটা তো
না, যখন থেকে কাজ শুরু করে তখন তো প্রথমে কাজ করা হচ্ছে ইগল লেক নার্সিং হোমে সিলিতে, তখন তো গাড়ি আমরা চেঞ্জ করতাম না, সব এটা ঘরের কাছেই কাজ করছে প্রথম বছরে।
He says the first year that she worked in Sealy nursing home, so they're both using the both cars together, like the other car and this car.
She was the one that was regularly using the car prior to the deer accident, was she not?
যেদিন ডিয়ার অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করছে সেদিন তো সে গাড়িটা ড্রাইভ করতেছিল।
হ্যাঁ, ওই দিন গাড়ি ড্রাইভ করতেছিল।
Yes.
And then when the car was ready from the repair, you never let her have the car back.
যখন গাড়িটা ঠিক হয়ে গেছে তারপর আপনি আর গাড়ি তারে ব্যাক করে দেন না।
না, তো তখন তো আমাদের এই যে ইলা তো তখন আমাদের তো তখন আমি তখন বাসায় থাকি না, যে সময় গাড়ি ফিক্সড রেডি হয়েছে তখন তো আমি তো বাসার বাইরে 2 মাস, ইলা পুলিশ কল দিয়েছে, আমি তো আর বাসায় যেতে পারি না, তখন হচ্ছে আমি গাড়ি পাইছি, আমার তো ইলার সাথে কথা বলার কোনো রাইট ছিল না।
He says that the time that he get the car back after repair, that time he not living on that house, he's out of house, so there is no chance the way to give her back the car or talk to her about it.
I couldn't understand the answer.
He said like when he get the car back, that time he's not in the house, so he have no chance to get that car back to her or talk about it with her.
Okay, well, she's made a demand for the car to be returned. Is he aware of that?
Can you repeat that question? I don't get it, ma'am.
Is he aware that his wife has made a demand for that vehicle? She wants it back.
Objection to the form of the question.
Objections overruled.
Okay, so
Your Honor, would you direct the interpreter to pose the question to the witness?
I want to restate the question.
You're aware that your wife has made a demand for that car back to be returned to her?
আপনার
That's a
স্ত্রীকে
yes or no answer.
আপনার স্ত্রীকে আপনার কার্ডটা ব্যাক করে দেওয়ার ব্যাপারে বলছিল?
না, বলে নাই কিছু।
No.
Okay, you're not aware that there's been requests for it through your attorney?
আপনি কি অ্যাটর্নি থ্রুতে কোনো রিকোয়েস্ট করছিলেন কার ব্যাক করে দেওয়ার ব্যাপারে?
না আমি কোনো রিকোয়েস্ট আমি কিছু বলি নাই।
No, he don't.
You heard her testimony today that she wants the car back, did you not?
আজকে তো আপনি জানতেছেন সে গাড়ি চাইতেছে ব্যাক করে, এটা তো আপনি জানেন আজকে।
জি।
Yes.
Are you willing for her to be restored to possession of that vehicle at this time?
আপনি কি গাড়ি ব্যাক করে দিতে চান?
না আমি ব্যাক করে দিতে চাই না। আমার দুইটা কথা এখানে। আর প্রথমত আমি একটু দূরে কাজ করি, 21 মাইল ড্রাইভ করি। আর দ্বিতীয় কথা আমার ছেলে আসে আমার কাছে। তো আমার গাড়ি একটা ভালো লাগে, কারণ আমার ছেলে আমাদের ফুড পছন্দ করে। আমি হিস্টনে যাই আমার ছেলের সাথে করে। সো হাইওয়ে চালাইতে লাগলে একটু ভালো গাড়ি লাগবে। এই জন্য আমার গাড়ি আমি চাই আমার কাছে থাকে।
Okay, he says that he need that vehicle right now because when his son come to him, he like to get the food from Houston, that our store, grocery stores. So that is long way from here. So he need a better car to go there and back and forth with his son. So he don't want the old car. So it's hard for him to carry the son to there and back and forth.
Mr. Islam, are you saying that there's no grocery stores in Belleville?
আপনি কি বলছেন আপনি বেলভিলে থাকেন?
হ্যাঁ আমি বেলভিলে থাকি।
He live in Belleville.
Okay, but he just said that he needed the car because he had to buy groceries and it was a long way to drive to get groceries. Are you telling the court that there's no grocery stores in Belleville?
No, আপনি বলতে চাচ্ছেন যে আপনি যেই গ্রোসারি স্টোরে যান সেটা সেই ধরনের কোনো গ্রোসারি স্টোর বেলভিলে নাই?
না ওই ধরনের গ্রোসারি স্টোর বেলভিল না, এটা হিস্টনে আছে।
He says that the one that grocery he buy for his son, that's only in Houston. That's nothing a store in Belleville.
Okay, and you've been giving your son one meal per day, per week?
আপনি কি জাস্ট একটা মিল দেন আপনার ছেলেকে সপ্তাহে একদিন একটা মিল?
না আমি অনেক খাবার কিনি তো, আমি অনেক খাবার কিনি।
He say he just not only buy a meal for on day. He say he buy a lot of grocery for him the day he saw him.
All right, well, because of your long work hours, you've not been spending much time with your son, isn't that true?
আপনি লম্বা কাজ করেন দেখে আপনার ছেলেকে আপনি সময় দিতে পারেন না, এটা কি সত্য?
না আমি তো লম্বা কাজ করি না এখন আর।
He say he don't work that long hours anymore.
Well, it's been going up until this past week, hasn't it?
আপনি তো বলছেন past week আপনি লম্বা কাজ করছেন, এটা কি সত্য?
না ফার্স্ট উইকে আমি লম্বা কাজ করি না ওই রকম।
He say he don't work last week long hours.
Okay, so you didn't take advantage of not working long hours to spend more time with your son last week, did you?
I don't get that question, ma'am.
Would you repeat the question? I didn't hear a question.
You didn't take advantage of additional time with your son or request additional time with your son when you suddenly didn't start working the long hours that you just testified about. You've been saying that you can't visit because of your long work hours, but then as of suddenly, you don't have them anymore. But you didn't use that for the opportunity to ask for more time with your son last week, did you?
আপনি তো লাস্ট উইকেও বলেন না যে আপনার আপনি লম্বা কাজ করেন না, আপনি আপনার ছেলে যেতেন, আজকে এখন এসে হঠাৎ করে বলছেন।
না আমি লাস্ট উইক আমি কার কাছে বলবো এই কথাটা? আমি বলবো কার কাছে? আমি কাউকে বলি নাই তো, আমি কিভাবে বলবো?
He say he don't have any opportunity to say last week. Nobody listen him. But this is today is the chance. That's what he talking about.
Okay, well, the fact of the matter is you've had your son for 3 hours every week for the past few weeks, haven't you?
আপনার last
Excuse me, Your Honor, I'm going to object this line of questioning because we had an agreement as to when he could. And until we had a court order, he could not avail himself of additional thing. He couldn't go within 500 feet of it.
Objection sustained.
You've been offered entire weekends of possession, have you not?
Your Honor, we had an agreement, and until that order is changed, we can't make an agreement. He can't have an overnight weekend until the court modifies those bond conditions.
Objection sustained.
You're aware that you've been offered through the course of today to have a standard possession order, which would include a whole weekend of possession every other week.
Your Honor, an offer of settlement of any kind is not admissible.
It's already been admitted as part of the requested relief of the petitioner, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
What time do you want to spend with your child now? Just the 2 days that you're talking about? For 4 hours for 2 days?
আপনি যে 2 দিন বাচ্চাকে চাইতেছেন 4 ঘন্টা করে, কোন 2 দিন আপনি চাইতেছেন? কোন
এটা আমার যে কোনো 2 দিন হলে হবে, আমার সমস্যা না। আমার হয়তো টুয়েসডে আর সানডে আর স্যাটারডে, এনি ডে, আই হ্যাভ নো, আমার কোনো সমস্যা নেই।
He say any 2 days, he have no problem.
Okay, so standard possessions order that would give him 2 full days from Friday to Sunday would be acceptable for him.
Would you repeat it, please?
A standard possession order, which would be every other weekend or first, third, and fifth weekend from 6 o'clock on Friday to 6 o'clock on Sunday would be acceptable to him. To you, Mr. Islam.
আপনি 6টা থেকে 6টা পর্যন্ত রাখতে চান, আপনি এভরি আদার উইকে?
না, আমি ওরকম রাখতে চাই না। আমি বিকালে, বিশেষ করে বিকালে আমার ছেলেটা পাইলে ভালো হয়, কারণ কি আমি হয়তো 3টা থেকে নিলাম, 4টা 7টা পর্যন্ত 4 ঘন্টা রাখলাম, পার্কে গেলাম, একটু ঘোরাফেরা করলাম, একটু হিস্টোনে গেলাম। বিকাল টাইমটা হলে আমার জন্য ভালো, 4 ঘন্টা করে আমার জন্য ভালো, কারণ আমি পার্কে আমার ছেলেরে ঘোরাতে পারবো, একটু বিনোদন দিতে পারবো।
He says like he don't want it like 6 to 6, but he wanted like 3 to 7 or 3 to 8, so 4 hours or 3 to 4 hours in the evening. That's better for him, then kids feel better too. So that's what he wants.
Mr. Islam, where are you living?
আপনি এখন কোথায় আছেন?
বেলবেল।
Okay, and that's a house that you're living in?
আপনি কি কোন হাউসে আছেন, বাসায় আছেন?
আমি বাসায় আছি, হাউসে আছি।
He live in house.
Okay, and how many bedrooms does the house have?
আপনার হাউসের কন্ডিশন কেমন?
আমার হাউস ওটা আমি একটা আমার বসের বাসায় থাকি, ভালো হাউস, ভালো।
He said he live in the house, that's his boss house, and the house condition is good.
And does it have a backyard?
ওইটার কি ব্যাকইয়ার্ড আছে?
হ্যাঁ, হাউসের ব্যাকইয়ার্ড আছে।
Yes.
And how many bedrooms does it have?
3 bedroom.
3 bedroom.
And how many bathrooms does it have?
কয়টা বাথরুম?
দুইটা বাথরুম আছে।
2 restroom.
And does it have furniture in it?
ওখানে কি ফার্নিচার আছে কোনো?
না, কোনো ফার্নিচার নাই ওই জায়গাটা, কিছু পুরানো সোফা আছে এরকম।
It's not fully furnished, but there is some furniture.
Okay, does he have a bed for himself?
ওটা কি বিছনা আছে আপনার এখানে, আপনার নিজের জন্য?
না, আমার বিছনা আছে।
He says yes, he had a bed.
Okay, and does he have an extra bed in the house?
আপনার কি এখানে এক্সট্রা বেড আছে?
না, এক্সট্রা কোনো বেড নেই।
No, he don't have no extra bed there.
Okay, so there's just only one bed in the house?
একটা বিছনাই?
না, আমার বেড আছে 3টা, কিন্তু আমার ওই বসের শালা থাকে, আর একটা রুমে সে কম্পিউটার ডিভিডি চালায়, আর আমি একটা রুমে আলাদাভাবে থাকি।
He said there is 2 bedroom like occupied by 2 person, and 1 bedroom is back.
Okay, who else lives in the house with you?
ওই বাসা আর কে থাকে?
ওই যে বসের শালা থাকে।
He says his boss brother-in-law live in that house too.
His brother-in-law?
His brother-in-law.
And what about the wife?
না,
কোনো wife আছে?
না, ওর কোনো ওয়াইফ নাই, ওর বউ নাই, কিছু নাই, গার্লফ্রেন্ড নাই, বউ নাই।
He's bachelor, he don't have any wife or girlfriend.
Okay, so it's his boss's wife's brother lives in the house.
নাকি আপনার তার বসের ভাই,
বসের
বসের বউয়ের ভাই?
বসের বউর ভাই।
Yes, he says yes.
Okay. The house would be an appropriate place to visit with your son, would it not be?
আপনার ওই বাসা কি আপনার থাকার জন্য কি উপযোগী?
আমার ওই বাসায় ওই রকম থাকতে যাবে না, লং টাইম থাকতে যাবে না, হয়তো 2-1 ঘন্টা থাকলে খেলাধুলা করলে এইরকম, তাছাড়া কিছু না।
He says his son don't want to live long time there, so 1-2 hours or 3 hours is fine.
Now, your boss is actually living, you live there without rent, isn't that true? You're not paying rent to your boss.
বস আপনার কোনো রেন্ট এন্ড চার্জ করে না, আপনি ফ্রি থাকতে দিছে, এটা কি সত্যি?
না না, আমি 600 টাকা পে করি।
He say he paying 600.
Huh?
Is there any agreement paper?
You said what now?
Is there any writing?
Did you sign a lease or any document that obligates you to pay that money?
আপনার কাছে কোনো ডকুমেন্ট আছে যে আপনি যে তারা পে করেন?
না, এটা তো কোনো চেক দেওয়া হয় নাই, চেক দেওয়া হয় নাই এখন তো। আমি থাকছি, আমার কাছে টাকা নাই, আমি থাকছি 2 মাস যাচ্ছে, 2 মাস কয়েকদিন। আমি বলছি আমার কাছে টাকা নেই, আমি টাকা কামাই করলে পরে পাশে দিয়ে দেবো, এরকম ভাবে কথাবার্তা ফাইনাল করে রাখছিলাম।
He say he had an agreement with him that he gonna pay 600, but right now he don't pay, but he agreement with him that he has start paying for him that 600 month. And
Okay, so he's got an agreement to pay, but as yet he's not been paying. Is that his testimony or your testimony?
এখন আপনি কোনো টাকা দেন নাই, but দিবেন বলছেন।
হ্যাঁ, আমি দেব।
He says like he don't pay, but he already have agreement with him that he gotta pay back to him.
Would you say that again?
He say he gotta pay him to back that money. He agree with him.
But have you made any actual payment to your boss for your accommodations? To this point, any payment?
আপনি কি এই মুহূর্তে কোনো টাকা পে করছেন তাকে?
না, আমি পে করি নাই।
No.
What did you do with the $1,800 that you got from the US government stimulus?
আপনি 1800 টাকা কি করছেন গভর্নমেন্ট থেকে যে টাকাটা পাইছেন?
আমার অ্যাকাউন্টে 1800 টাকা সরকার থেকে দিছে, কিন্তু আমি যেদিন আমি গেছি তখন যা দেখি আমার অ্যাকাউন্টে টাকা নেই, ওই 850-900 টাকার মতো ছিল, আর বাদ বাকি টাকা কোথায় গেছে আমি জানি না, আমি বেশি কিছু একটা বুঝি না আর কি। তো আমি জমা হয়েছে ঠিকই, কিন্তু আমি যা পরের দিন 1-2 দিন পরে যা দেখি যে 850-900 টাকা এরকম ছিল।
He say he when he go check the account, the $1,800 is deposited, but next few days later when he check his account, it's only $900 so left over there. So he don't know how is it spent and where is it spent. So because he say he don't run those account lot. So that's how it's.
আমার ওয়াইফের কাছে আমার ডেবিট কার্ড থাকে সব সময়।
You're not there, he's not been asked a question.
Stand.
Mr. Islam, the check went into your checking account, did it not?
Can you repeat that question, ma'am, please?
The check went into your checking account, didn't it?
চেকটা কি আপনি চেকিং অ্যাকাউন্ট, আপনি চেক বই কার কাছে?
আমার চেক বই আমার কাছে।
The checkbook is with him.
And you're the only one that signs on that account, isn't that true?
এই অ্যাকাউন্টটা কি শুধু আপনি হ্যান্ডেল করেন আর কেউ করে
না, আমার বউ এটা হ্যান্ডেল করে।
He says his wife handle that account.
But he's the only one that can sign on it, isn't that true?
এই শুধু আপনি একাই কনসার্ন নয় অ্যাকাউন্টের জন্য, মানে অ্যাকাউন্টের জন্য কি আপনি একা দায়ী না?
Is that account money?
বুঝলাম না দশটা।
Who is accountable?
Like when we are separated, he had
না,
6,000.
আমি একা বলবো।
He says the debit card with his wife.
Okay, now, when you and your wife separated, you emptied out that account, didn't you?
আপনি যখন দুইজনে সেপারেট হয়ে গেছেন তখন আপনি ওই অ্যাকাউন্ট পুরো খালি করে ফেলেন নাই?
আমার অ্যাকাউন্টে টাকা ছিল না, যে যতটুকু টাকা ছিল আমার ওয়াইফ যখন গাড়ি অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করছে তখন ওই টাকাটা আমার ওয়াইফের যে দিছিল, ওই টেক্সাস ফার্মরে যে টাকাটা দিয়েছিল ওই টাকাটাই আমি উঠায় নিয়ে আসছিলাম, তাছাড়া আমার অ্যাকাউন্টে কোনো টাকা ছিল না।
He said when he back in that account or empty that account, that time there is not too many money is there. And he pay for the farm bureau the money for fixing the cars or something like that.
Your Honor, I'm looking for a document. You'll just bear with me a minute.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Document.
I'm
She's
looking for
looking
a
for a
document.
document.
Charlie, it's what you sent this morning. The bank statement from January 20th, 2021.
Something from 2021, but I don't remember, I can't understand you.
Okay, let me just see if I can find it. It's something that you submitted with the court as an exhibit. It's his bank statement from Austin County State Bank dated January 20th, 2021, which covers the period from 12/28/2020 to 1/20/2021.
अपने first bank of home bank Austin County Bank statement जमा दिया ना आपने.
Yeah, Your Honor, is that what we're talking about? Can you read that?
It's the Austin County State Bank statement.
Yes,
You have that submitted in evidence?
I have not admitted it.
Well, I'm asking about it.
We certainly can. I had it marked as 6.
Exhibit 6, do you have that, Your Honor? I'm trying to find it in my file, but I can't find it. It just came in this morning. Okay, wait, I found it. It was R6. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, let me just share that. Okay, do we see this? Can you see that? Judge, is that coming up?
Well, it's coming up, but it doesn't look like it's the same as the document that's marked number 6.
Okay, well, I've got Austin County State Bank, which was one of the documents that was submitted this morning by Mr. Smith.
The one that's marked number 6 is this.
Is it Austin County State Bank?
No.
Your Honor, if you can see, the one I have that's marked 6 is, you can't read it.
That is Austin.
The one I have, it's petitioner 6.
We will respondent 6, Your Honor.
Hold on.
That was what was filed this morning.
Okay, hold on.
That's the Home Depot. I have it marked as 5. Maybe I can't.
No, I want to look at the Austin County State Bank statement.
Okay, I have that. I don't have a number on it. So what number do we want to put on that?
It
6.
came in as R6, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm gonna mark that
Can you
as
see that on screen sharing?
the one that I see on screen share I have in front of me. And I'm gonna mark it number
Austin County
6.
State Bank. Okay. All right, Mr. Islam, would you look at this exhibit 6 that we're showing on the screen? This is a new account that you opened, is it not?
আমি দেখতেছি
He say he watching.
Mr. Islam, is this your new checking account?
এটাকে আমরা নতুন চেকিং
হ্যাঁ আমার এটা নতুন চেকন অ্যাকাউন্ট যে টাকাটা দেখতেছেন ওই টাকাটা টেক্সাস ফার্মগুলোর টাকা
Yes.
Okay, and you see the deposits there, the $6,203 in deposits?
আপনি ওই ৬,২০০ কোথা টাকাটা কোথা থেকে পাইছেন?
এইটা টেক্সাস ফার্মগুলোর যে আমাদের চেক ইলাজ আমার বউ যে অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করছে তারা আমার একটা চেক দিছিল ৬,৫০০ টাকার। ওই চেকটা আমার ওয়াইফই হচ্ছে আমার অ্যাকাউন্টের ওয়েলস ফার্গো ব্যাংকে জমা দেয়। জমা দেওয়ার পরে যখন হচ্ছে আমাদের মধ্যে দূরত্ব হয়ে গেল তখন তো আমার অ্যাকাউন্টের সাথে হচ্ছে ওর সমস্ত বিল ইলা আমার ওয়াইফ কানেক্টেড করে রাখছে। তো ওই বিল যদি চলে যায় তাহলে তো আমি টেক্সাস ফার্ম ব্যুরোর যে টাকাটা দিছে আমি তো গাড়ি আনতে পারবো না। এই জন্য আমি ওয়েলস ফার্গো ব্যাংকে তো ওই টাকাটা উঠাই আমার নতুন অ্যাকাউন্টে সেভ করে রাখছিলাম, যখন গাড়ি ঠিক হবে তখন আমার যাতে এই টাকাটা আমি পে করে আসতে পারি, তখন আমি
Please let him, and then keep
Okay.
going.
Okay, he says the farm bureau give him like $6,500 accidental check, which is deposited to the Wells Fargo account. And then when they have issues each other, then he pick that money from there and bring this new account, and then he deposit that money to this new account because he got to pay for the repairment of the car. That's why he take the money out, because all the credit card and all the bills is linked with his account. So he just is scared that all money gonna be get out from there, so he don't have no money to pay the car repairment. That's why he take that money out.
Mr. Islam, you did close the other account out and take all the money out of it, didn't you?
আপনি কি ওই অ্যাকাউন্ট ক্লোজ করে দিয়েছেন, সব টাকা নিয়ে চলে আসছেন?
না, আমি অ্যাকাউন্ট ক্লোজ করি না, এখন আমার অ্যাকাউন্ট আছে।
He don't close that account. The account is still there.
Okay,
But
so he took all the money out of it, didn't he?
আপনি সব টাকা নিয়ে
Mr. Islam, you took the money out of the Wells Fargo account, correct?
Yes.
And you opened up this new account.
আপনি ওই অ্যাকাউন্ট থেকে সব টাকা এনে এটা ওপেন করছেন, ইজ দ্যাট রাইট?
হ্যাঁ, আমি ওইখান থেকে টাকা দিয়ে এসে এখানে রাখছি, যদি খরচ হয়ে যায় তাহলে আমি তো আমার গাড়ি পিক আপ করে আনতে পারবো না টয়োটা থেকে, যার কারণে ওটা তো ইন্স্যুরেন্সের টাকা, আমার টাকা না।
He said he bring that money and open this account because he need
Okay, and all of the bills that had been drafted on the old account stayed with the old account, isn't that true?
আপনার ওই ওল্ড অ্যাকাউন্টে সব বিলগুলো লিংক করা আছে এখনো।
আমি এটা জানি না এখন কি আছে, আমার বউ জানে এটা এখন কি করছে না করছে, আমি জানি না এটা।
He said his wife knows about it because he never do that things.
Okay, I didn't ask him about his wife. I object to that answer, Your Honor, it's not responsive. You did
Objection
not
sustained.
transfer the bills that were being paid at Wells Fargo to your new account, did you?
আপনি কি ওই যতগুলা বিল যেগুলো আপনি ওয়েলস ফার্গোর সাথে লিংক করা ছিল সেগুলা কি আপনি এখানে লিংক করছেন?
না আমি এটা করি নাই।
No, he didn't.
All right, and are you aware that the the Obamacare premium was not paid?
আপনি কি জানেন ওবামা কেয়ার পে করা হয় নাই?
এটা আমার বউ জানে যে আসলে আমার ইন্স্যুরেন্স আছে কিনা, আমি এটা জানি না, সম্পূর্ণ আর বউ টেক কেয়ার করে এগুলা, আমি এটা জানি না কিছু।
He says his wife handle all those, so he don't know about it.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask that this Austin County State Bank statement be admitted into evidence.
Any objection
I
to
got it marked as
respondents number 6?
That's what you have.
Any objection to respondents number 6?
No, Your Honor.
The respondent 6 is admitted.
Ms. Springer, you need to wait till either the judge is finished talking or whatever, because you're cutting even him
I'm
off.
sorry, it's just difficult with.
I'm trying to get the record.
I understand that.
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Islam?
Your Honor, could we take a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes break?
We'll need to finish up today at 5 o'clock. So it's 4:25. So we can take about a 5-minute break, but then we'll come back at 4:30 and need to finish up.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's very, very difficult. You like everything.
last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judge, you're muted.
All right, so we'll go back on the record on the Akhtar versus Islam case, and you may continue with the examination.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Referring, if this is been marked as D6, right, respondent 6R6, the bank statements. Okay, Mr. Islam, you've got in January, you deposited $6,203.38 in that account, is that correct?
ইসলাম আপনি এই 6,203 টাকা জমা দিয়েছেন এই ব্যাংকের অ্যাকাউন্টে
হ্যাঁ
he said yes
All right, and then the next month you deposited $3,375.12.
তারপরে আপনি 3,000 টাকা জমা দিয়েছেন তারপরে আপনি 3,377 টাকা
না আবার ওর বলতে আমার ফ্রেন্ডের থেকে আমি লোন নিয়েছিলাম 2,000 আর আমার চেক ছিল সাথে
he said he take loan from his friend like 2,000 and 1,000 his check
Okay, do you have loan documents or anything from your friend?
না আমার কোনো ডকুমেন্ট নাই জাস্ট আমি চাইছিলাম আমার বন্ধুর কাছে আমার কিছু টাকা দরকার দিয়েছিল আমারে
he said he don't have any document but he asking his friend so his friend give him the loan
Anyway, your bank account shows more deposits than what your paychecks were. Isn't that true?
আপনার ব্যাংক অ্যাকাউন্ট তো শো করতেছে আপনার যা চেক পান তার চেয়ে বেশি অ্যামাউন্ট আপনি ডিপোজিট করেন তো ওই টাকা পাবেন
কোনটা
আপনার ব্যাংক অ্যাকাউন্ট শো করতেছে আপনি যত চেক পান তার চেয়ে বেশি ক্যাশ ডিপোজিট
না ওই যে 6,000 টাকা ওইটা তো হচ্ছে ওই টেক্সাস ফার্মগুলোর আমার ওয়েলস ফার্গো ব্যাংকে ছিল যেটা হচ্ছে আমার গাড়ি অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করার জন্য ওই টাকা তো আমার টাকা না ওই টাকাটা আমি উঠায় নিয়ে আসি আমি এই অ্যাকাউন্টে রাখছি যে গাড়ি যখন ঠিক হয়ে যায় তখন আমি টাকাটা দিয়ে দেবো কোম্পানিতে ওই জন্য উঠায় রাখছি ওই টাকা তো আমার টাকা না আমার বউ আমার ওই টেক্সাস ফার্মগুলো 6,500 টাকা ডিপোজিট করছিল ওই টাকাটা আমি ওয়েলস ফার্গো থেকে নিয়ে আসি আমি এই অ্যাকাউন্টে রাখছি কারণ আমার ওই অ্যাকাউন্টের সাথে বাড়ির সব
I'm going to object because I know that's not a yes or no answer, which is all that was required by the question.
Just restate your question, please.
Your deposits are higher than your income. Isn't that true? Your income as reflected on your wage statements that you've shown this court is lower than what your deposits are in your new checking account. True or false?
ওকে আপনি যা ইনকাম করেন তার চেয়ে বেশি আপনি আপনার অ্যাকাউন্টে ডিপোজিট করেন এটা কি সত্য না মিথ্যা
এটা সত্য
yes he say yes
Anything else you want me to ask him? He's just like torture. I'm going to tender the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Smith, anything?
No, Your Honor, I do want to recall Miss Islam for a moment.
Okay, you may proceed.
I'd like to recall Miss Islam.
I think it's Miss Akhtar, actually.
Miss Akhtar.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that you had, after y'all had separated, you had no agreement as to who was going to pay what bills?
We don't have no agreement.
Okay, so did you expect that he was going to continue to pay all the bills after he was removed from the house?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the answer. Yes or no, I don't know how this law goes.
Well, the questions have been, you didn't leave money in that account so that the bills could be paid. Did you expect or have any agreement that those bills would be paid that way?
I never put any money on that account. But as my husband, he always pay the bill is tied to his account. That was our mutual agreement.
But you agree with me that you kicked him out of the house and filed for divorce, wouldn't you? Do you think
No,
the agreement?
I object this word. I didn't kick anybody out. He abused me. I just asked for my justice. I just asked. He could kill me. I don't know what he's gonna do.
But even under your best scenario, you agree that your income is 2 to 3 times higher than his.
He does not show his all income. I show my all income.
Did you make $12,000 in the month of January of,
Yes, I did.
pardon me?
Yes, I did.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Springer?
Okay, just a couple of follow-up questions. On the car usage, when did you start using that 2015 Toyota? When did you start using that vehicle?
2017, because that's the time I enrolled in Victoria College. I started my school from 2017 January to 2018 December. That time I graduated from my nursing school. And even before that, I went to Blaine College in 2013. That time I also used that car.
Okay, so did you use the car continuously from 2017 through the time that you had the accident with the deer?
Yes.
And when was the accident with the deer?
It's in November, sometimes in end of the November.
Okay, so when the accident happened, then you started driving your husband's car
Yes,
and he drove the rental car.
yes,
And then when the car was finished repair, he picked up the car that you usually drove
yes,
and never returned it or swapped back out with you.
yes,
And you want your car back.
yes.
Do you agree that you have the funds to buy new tires and to make any repairs that are necessary on the older?
There's nothing before the court about repairing any vehicle. There's been no request that she refurbish the older vehicle. There's a request that she be restored to her usual and customary.
I'll let Mr. Smith ask his question.
Do you have the funds to prepare, to get new tires and to repair the older vehicle if you so choose?
So right now I'm paying all the bill. So I don't know even how much I have my account. I know last time, yesterday, they deposited. So I really can't tell yes or no to answer on that. Even yes, I make $10,000, but I do have expense a lot. Just because we buy a new house, then we remodel, and then we buy a lot of furniture. So I do have a lot of expense.
So you don't have
Without his support, it's going to be difficult for me to take care of everything by myself.
Well, you have his current bank statement. Do you see how much he has? Do you?
He has a bank statement, but he don't show what he has in cash.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Springer?
All right, this friend's house that Mr. Islam was suggesting as an exchange point for the child, do you agree with that?
No, he said that house next to his my house, but that's not true. I live that community, so I know how many houses beside that house is at least 10 houses from my house. By my son by himself can go that road is really dangerous because he just only 5. He don't know what to look for it when they are coming another vehicle. He could be possible to victim an accident. So it is not. I don't feel comfortable, and it's not safe for my child.
Okay, so you want the exchange place to remain at McDonald's?
Yes, sir.
And you want the standard possession schedule that we went over
Yes.
earlier today? All right, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, anything else?
I need to clarify that. You say it's not safe for your son to walk across the yard to his neighbor's house?
It's not neighbor, it's not 1 year, it's not next each other. At least 10 house in between my house and his friend who referred that house.
Okay, would you agree that it would be safer to make the exchange in the driveway where your parents could watch the delivery all the way to the car?
I do not feel it will be safer because I know my husband's aggressive behavior. He will be violent and he could be violent to my parents. I believe he never been violent to my son. I cannot guarantee what's going to happen in future, but there is a huge possibility that he will violent to my parents, huge possibility he will violent to myself. So I do not feel comfortable and safe on that situation. But if he is rather be somewhere else, he'll be much less aggressive.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Springer?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
The respondent rests.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Springer, since you represent petitioner, I'll have you prepare the temporary orders. How much time will you need?
To draft them, if you'll give me a couple of weeks, Your Honor, so I can have time to submit to Mr. Smith.
All about is March 12th?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, then I'll read the temporary orders into the record. Ms. Springer will prepare the temporary orders, the entry date of March 12th at 9 o'clock. All right, so the parties will be named as joint managing conservators of the child. Ms. Akhtar will have the primary possession and be able to designate the residency of the child within Austin County and contiguous counties. Mr. Islam will have possession of the child 2 days a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The exchanges will take place at White Wing Lane. When Mr. Islam comes to pick up the child, he won't drive closer to any door of the residence, any closer than 30 feet to any door of the residence. Mr. Islam will not leave the vehicle until the child exits the house. Mr. Islam will only exit the vehicle to assist the child getting in the car, and he won't be any greater distance away from his vehicle, any more than 5 feet away from his vehicle. And after the child's in the vehicle, Mr. Islam will leave the property immediately. I'll certainly encourage Ms. Akhtar and her family to videotape the exchanges, so there's no question as to what happens during the exchanges. The only communication between the parties will be by text. There'll be standard mutual injunctions, and the conditions of the bond will follow these temporary orders. So that should be just referenced in the temporary orders, that the bond conditions are the same as these temporary orders. All right, so Mr. Islam will pay the the past and any current premiums for the Obamacare medical coverage for all the parties. And then when Ms. Akhtar is able to receive coverage through her employment, which I believe she testified would be in March, she will,
It'd be April the 1st, Your Honor.
okay, on April 1st, then she'll get coverage for all three, for herself, Mr. Islam, and the child. And Mr. Islam will reimburse her for any premium that applies to him and half the premium for the child. Parties will be responsible for 50-50 for any uninsured costs. There'll need to be, I think, a lot more, discovery, frankly, on the paychecks and the amounts. It's very unclear right now as to where all the money went and how much people make, and also need some more information about this other car. One person has the title, but somebody else is making the payment. That's kind of unclear, but for now, beginning March 15th of 2021, Mr. Islam will begin paying child support, the amount of $600 a month. Not going to include any retroactive payment in the temporary orders. That may be addressed at the final, and I'm not going to have anything paid on that stimulus check during temporary orders. That can also be handled at the final. Ms. Akhtar will get possession of the Camry, and Mr. Islam will have possession of the Nissan. And so on the exchange on February 27th, if there's any property that is in the residence, that's Mr. Islam's property, Ms. Akhtar should have that property, in the Nissan. So when he comes to pick up the child, he can drive away in the Nissan. So there'll be any of his property, the keys, any other documents, insurance, papers, all that. The Nissan documents will be in the Nissan, and the Camry documents will be in the Camry. Then if there's other items that Mr. Islam believes are still missing, you'll get a list together, give that to Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith will give that to Ms. Springer, and we'll see if we can find anything else. Ms. Akhtar will make the mortgage payments and any other expenses at the property on White Wing. And as far as the other temporary orders, I'll refer to the summary of relief. And so the items that are listed in 1A through J are granted. What's listed in 4 and 5, 6 and 7 are granted. And then the property issues 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, and 10 are granted. All right, any questions on anything?
Your Honor, the only thing I have is, you were very specific that he wasn't to get more than 5 feet away from the car. Do we have a separate provision for the exchange of the cars?
I guess Miss Akhtar can have the Nissan, parked about 30 feet away or so from the house, and he just needs to get out of one car and get into the other.
Okay.
Leave the keys and all documents related to the car in the car.
Right, so she should leave any documents related to the Nissan should be in the car, and Mr. Islam should have any documents related to the Camry in the Camry when he drops it off. Anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're all excused.
Your Honor, may we be excused?
You may, thank you.